right? We're not trying to acquire new users with this. We're not trying to make sales. We can't make sales right now. Um, this is our obligation and also our opportunity.
Okay,
There's
good.
2 points there, right?
I feel like
Obligation
he
and
needed to
opportunity.
address this
One,
weirdly.
obligation to keep you informed and abreast of progress for the game's development. That is, we are public development process. We believe in that process.
So I
We
think a
think
lot of
it's a
people were
good thing
mentioning
that
that
companies should should
it felt like
should
they were
should
marketing
do,
the game.
because
I mean, I say a lot.
ultimately
I mean, I
there's no
noticed it a
stronger
lot.
relationship in
Anecdotal, right?
consumer to
Um,
corporate, like, purview than that of a gaming
that
company, right? It literally, as a player, you're the lifeblood of the company, right?
they weren't
So
showing certain
so
things as a
it's our
form of
obligation
like
to keep you abreast
advertisement
of
to have Alpha
progress.
2 be the
On the
reveal of
second side of
everything.
that coin, it is our
But in all reality, it's
opportunity
probably just that they
to
don't care
collect
to show it.
live
They don't need to
feedback
show
from you
it.
guys so that we can make
They can
sure the
market it later
product
on
we're
down the road
making
when they want to.
is going to be received in a way that is something you want, right? It's positively. It's yes, I'm aware of what you're building as a player, right? And I've given you
Might
my
take anyways.
thoughts on the player. Now, not everybody is into that,
Maybe a
right?
little
Like,
naive,
probably
but still.
98 to 99% of players in the world are not watching a stream like this where it's a development update. You are a select few, a
Yeah.
unique cohort of
There's
people
like what, like 4K people
who
watching?
take
Nah, I'm not gonna
interest
check. I don't care.
to the
Um,
next level, right, of a game that's
so
up
we
and coming,
are
right?
a
Most
very
people, they
select
wait around
few.
for the trailers, they see the launch date, and they're like, all right, cool, I'll wish list this or something, right? Like, that is the vast majority. So you
If you're one of
guys,
those folks, come back later.
yes,
We'll have the
exactly,
game for you later. If you don't, if you're
yeah.
impatient, you don't want to watch the journey, that's fine.
That is a stage that is coming. There's no way that stage doesn't come, right? That is our launch stage, right? So it's like, understand that we're not skipping out on that. It's just we're adding an additional phase to it, which is this phase, the development phase that you guys get to participate in.
He says
So with
adding
that being
more that he
said,
added, but yeah, either way.
remember that this showcase is a work in progress. It is work towards our alpha 2, which is our a true alpha. We've talked about this in the past. Particularly 2 points: VFX and UI.
He can sing it from the
Those
rooftops, dude.
are
There's
in
gonna be
a
so many
very
people that bought Alpha
functional
2 that
state,
genuinely
which
don't get
means
that
that they haven't
or
received the
don't hear
level
him
of
say it.
attention that we still need to provide. That's polish, that's optimization, that's further fleshing out, right? Those things still need to be worked on. So as you're observing this and you're thinking of your commentary and how you can best provide us feedback along the lines of this particular system, right? This gameplay loop, what you will be experiencing within the game, talk to us about the functionality of the game, of the node war system, the interaction between the mayor and the citizens, the objective based gameplay within the open world, some of the ability designs, some of the effects that occur. Like, those topics are where your feedback is best used. If it is something about, UI looks clunky or visual effects soup is, indistinguishable, we for sure are aware of that. We know that that is still a thing that we are planning to work on and will be improved, right?
Okay, so he's listening to
So
the
take
We
community
that
had
with
a
a grain
effectively,
of
big
because
salt.
that's a
discussion
complaint that's
with
been
VFX
had for
about
a
that
bit.
recently. So
Yeah, absolutely. So we will improve there. But
I don't
I
hate
think
it.
you
I
guys are
can
really
learn
going
the
to enjoy
visual
this.
soup.
I think the team did a
There's definitely
phenomenal
players out there
job
that
in
it
creating this.
fucks
Chris
up, right?
Justo was a champion
Like
of
otherwise
champions
competitive players just
as
neutered by
our
the fact that there's screens
node,
flash
now,
banging them
excuse me,
every fucking
our
second.
design systems team owner. He is a
Totally get it.
very exceptional individual. And he did a phenomenal job in spearheading a lot of the work that revolves around the nodes and the node war system. So kudos to him. In addition, a lot of people on the team, from the engineering side to the art side, come together to obviously make Ashes of Creation. And what you're going to see today, I think you're going to enjoy. And what you're going to play soon in Alpha 2 is going to be a lot of fun. So with that being said, enjoy the show.
and the premiere is playing over on YouTube. You can check it out over there in 4K if you'd like, or you can watch us here. But please come back because we will be gathering questions and answering those as well. So we'll see you all shortly. Well, in an hour and plus.
Alright, the real reason why here. By the way, These are way too fucking early in the morning, man. I woke up and I thought, like, oh, bro, I got an hour and a half. I was just barely here. And I was still late by like a minute getting the fucking stream going. And I was panicking because the TV wouldn't turn on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day in Vera. And today we have an exciting showcase, one that has been long in the making, probably one of our largest systems that we have actually shown to date. I know that there are a lot in the audience who are excited about what we're going to be talking
very
about,
excited.
and what we're going to be showing today.
Hello, Steven.
Many of you have been waiting for this particular showcase.
That is your real name.
I am joined by some pretty awesome developers who have made what you're going to see today a reality. Three of our glorious engineers, Kyle, Keenan, Zach. How are you guys doing?
Oh,
pretty good.
Kyle, Keenan, and Zach.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely excited to chat with you guys about what it took to bring this particular feature to life. I know that each of you in your respective rights have had different purviews over this kind of massively multiplayer engagement, the unique system work that's involved for the war and the events itself, along with obviously combat and player movement for you guys. So a lot of insights there, which I'm going to be excited to chat with you guys about as we kind of go through this. Also, we have two of our glorious designers, regulars on the show. Chris, Trad, how are you guys doing?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yep, I'm hyped for some PvP.
Ooh, some PvP and this amazing war system, Chris. That I know
Honestly,
that you have
this is the main thing I'm here for
away
with Ashes.
over the course of the last few months in helping
interested.
to author and set up and
Not
doing
that
a
we
lot
haven't
of
seen
testing
PvP
with
before,
our
but,
PI
like,
group and iterating on the system as well. A lot of hard work has gone to this. Gonna be excited to kind of showcase that off. And then of course, no true project can be successful without the absolute amazing responsibility of production. We have one of our glorious producers here, Nathan. Nathan, how are you doing, my friend?
Hi, Nathan.
I'm so excited. I'm excited. This was a big step for us to put the massive back in MMO, and I'm excited to show that off to everyone today.
Excited to show it off too. Now, many of you may be asking yourself, where am I? What are we looking at? We are currently in the node of Miraleth, where I have been bestowed with the great honor of mayorship, leading these beautiful, wonderful people to success all across the Riverlands and very
I
beyond.
want Node Wars to
And
not be Guilty Guild.
We have recently
Primarily Guilty
gotten
Guild.
into
Obviously,
maybe
guilds will be involved, but like
some
I want it to be
interchanges that haven't
everybody
been so polite
going
with
to
one of our
town.
neighboring nodes. And this can happen in the world of
For better
Vera.
or for worse.
There are a lot of
That's
systems
it's
set
a
up
good
to
gameplay loop.
provide
Guild Wars
players
2
an
did it,
outlet to kind of
technically.
govern themselves,
Obviously a bit
govern
different
their
from world to world.
relationships with each other.
But you're only as good as your randoms.
Winstead shall show
You
you the way
train
to
your
win.
randoms.
Unbelievable.
You teach them how to play.
Are already trash
You
talking.
have
Look
them
at
form
this-
their own fucking
this
guilds.
disrepute that
And
comes from
teach
Margaret
others how to
as the
play.
mayor of
And that's how you
Winstead.
get
We must respond
Maguma. If
in
you're familiar
kind.
with
Chris,
the world,
what
you
are
know
some
what I
of
mean.
the options we have available to us when our honor is being questioned as a node?
Yeah. So,
But
as
we
you kind of
need that
alluded
shit.
to,
None
we're
of this
gonna
Guilty Guild,
declare war
pristine,
on them because
cleanliness
they're big
bullshit. We
meanies.
need it to be.
So
raw.
we have
Wait a
to.
minute.
I
Can we
want
rephrase that. It's not
that
that they're big
is
weenies.
what I
it's
want.
that-
I said meanies.
Oh,
I said
meanies.
I say this as someone who will be in a
They're
big guild probably.
meanies.
But
It's
besides
not
the
that
point.
they're big meanies. It's that we must exert our dominance, and we can only truly achieve respect through power. And if we don't demonstrate that power to these peons that are at Winstead, then how will they know to fear us?
Yeah, they
that's a
might come
much
and
more
take our
eloquent-
fucking grind
eloquent way
spots
to put
again.
it, Steven.
Assholes.
So we have to jump through a few hoops before we can declare war. We don't want mayors running around in Ashes of Creation just like perma-flagging the whole world into a state of PvP.
Yeah,
right?
there needs to be downtime. That's
So-
fair.
Some people
I
just
agree.
said, wait a minute, yes I do.
Speak for yourself, sir.
Well, it's going to cost you some resources to do that.
Yeah.
So, Steven, as the mayor, you have access to a special panel in your node UI.
All right, I pulled up my node interface. Now, I must take this moment, as is normally the case, to remind everyone in our audience that everything you see here today is a work in progress. That means that we are currently working towards our Alpha 2, which we have announced for third quarter this year.
He's reiterating
UI,
it. Good.
Visual effects, performance,
That means
just
no
the
delays
general
yet.
content within the game is in an alpha state. Please remember that as you see this. Things will continue to get better and continue to be developed. And the reason that we do these
The fact
live
that it still
streams
looks
and
better
these
than most
development
MMOs,
updates
man.
is to
Still
keep our
trips me
audience
out.
abreast of that progress, but also to elicit necessary feedback as we iterate on these particular systems, because there are a lot of them. So sorry, Chris, I am in this node window and I see that I have available to me some number of mayoral commissions that I can begin with.
Seconds.
Correct. Now this tab is only available to the mayor, hence why
I'll
it's
still
called
be
the mayor
in earshot.
tab. And if you hit that button in the top right corner, the manage commissions button,
Oh, okay, very nice.
you'll see we have a list of commissions and a bunch of available slots for you to initiate. Now, these are much like regular commissions that I think we've shown off in the past. The difference here is the mayor is picking which ones are going to be available to players, and
okay.
when enough players complete them, the node gets a reward. Right.
Very good. So this is a bit different than your standard commissions, your non-mayoral commissions, because those are generated by the system based on predicates of the surrounding area from a narrative perspective. And this mayoral commissions are really more predicated on what the mayor needs to have done to collect resources or to enable certain
people are
actions
likening
such
this
as
shit
war.
to New World, but
Now,
let's be real, this is
like
way better than New
more
World.
mayoral commissions will become available as the node progresses, and the
New
commissions
Worlds are all
that
random.
available will change based on
They're
how
like
the node is
necessary
built,
for a
right?
singular
If you build
goal.
a blacksmith, you might get some special smithing related commissions that you could elect to initiate for your players. But if you don't upgrade that blacksmith, you're not going to be able to do that.
Got it. Very cool. Okay. So I see here there's one called War Preparations.
And that's the one you're going to want to use if we want to go to war. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and initiate that commission. If you see in the top right of that panel, there's the some glint available. That's the reward players will get for doing this activity.
Oh, okay. Should I confirm this selection?
Go confirm the selection.
Okay. So when players complete this commission, they do their part, and this is essentially them
I'm doing my
buying
part.
on to this choice.
Correct.
Got it. So so it's not just unilaterally, and obviously, guys, as you're watching this, some of these system designs are in an effort to provide these gameplay loops with the resources that we have available to us at this stage in the development for Alpha 2 purposes. Long term, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, how some of those designs will change and incorporate other systems which we are still pending development on. But here, the players that are citizens of this node must opt in with the mayor's decision by completing this commission in order to grant that power. And for their participation, they're getting rewards as well.
Absolutely correct.
Very cool. And so what are these awards they're getting?
So they're going to get some glint, which we've also shown off in the past that they can turn in for money.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
Money.
paid.
I like that.
Very cool. Should we select any other ones here too?
Yeah, I mean, they all offer a varying breadth of things, right?
Money better be
primary
really
thing
fucking
we're
important.
rewarding through mayoral commissions is what we call node buffs.
Can't stand when you get to like end game in an
and these
MMO and then
are
your money just becomes something you
benefits that are
fucking
applied
flash
to
at
your
people,
zone
or
of
it's
influence.
like the
So,
only
for
sync that the
example, you
game
might want to
has.
do a mayoral commission.
It needs to be something that, like, sitting on a large sum of gold
gathering
makes sense
speed
to
for
do.
24 hours in the node, and if
And
enough
then it makes
players
sense
do
to
that,
spend it when
you guys get
necessary,
that
too.
benefit.
Okay. Let's do the building foundation.
Like, I should be able to
'cause I'm
create
not
an
all
economic
about, as a
empire
mayor, just war.
and not feel like utter dog
we must
shit that I
make
didn't spend
safe
it on, you
the
know,
grounds
that 1% gear
around
upgrade.
us as well. Let's get rid of some of those.
I feel like
goblins.
that's kind of where Ashes is likely to go, because that's how,
And
that's how
perhaps
Arcade
we
was. But,
require some forages. Okay, cool. So we have a number of different commissions
some
now
like
that are
gonna like,
available
speak for
to
yourself,
players.
victim.
Correct.
Listen, man, I was a PvPer.
Now, if you want to close out
we
of
don't got
that
much
window
time to make
and
money.
walk over, this is our fancy mayoral commission board over here.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
And if you interact with it,
And it's all spent
It'll
on
show
gear.
the commissions that are currently
No boats
that
for
you've
victims.
initiated.
Nice. Now we have obviously a fire that's closest to the door, being of course our war preparations, because honestly the shifty characters over at Winstead really can't be trusted, especially in the proximity they
Yeah,
are
fuck
to
those
our
Wednesday
node.
guys. What the hell are they doing?
Um,
Fuck they
So
thinking?
how am I going to go ahead and complete this?
So first, accept the commission by clicking on it.
Got it.
Ooh, I like that.
If you notice,
That's
it's popped
simple,
up in your objective tracker.
but
All
like
right.
neat.
And I believe it says turn in 20 T1 materials. Do you have enough T1 materials, Steven?
You know, I think just by pure coincidence, I happen to have exactly 20.
Okay,
Awesome.
all right.
Yes.
So this little
Clearly not staged.
treasure box next to the commission board is where you can turn in.
All right. Ah, okay, very cool. Yes, I will turn in some of my stone, and I got my reward. Objective is now complete.
Well, he's fucking rich now.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Now, currently, for the sake of this showcase, that mayoral commission is set to only require one player to complete it,
Oh, okay,
so that we
got
can,
it.
speed things along for us, and we don't have to wait, a couple of days for hundreds of players to do this. But
That
if you
is
wanna,
the intent, right? Is that these commissions do require a heavy opt-in from the player base, in the order of magnitude being hundreds of these commissions need
exactly,
to be completed.
and that'll depend on the scope of the commission, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some commissions with very minor effects might not require a large amount of players to complete them, but something like going to war will require a larger amount of players and a larger amount of dedication per player.
Got it. And we have our company of ready, able, and willing citizens here to provide the support we need in order to succeed in our war preparation. So, hurrah to you! Well done, everyone.
Hurrah!
Okay, so
I don't know
now
why I
that
said
we've
it like
effectively
that. It just came
completed
out of
the
me.
commission,
Sometimes the cringe comes
So
out
if you
of
want
me.
to press N again to open up that node UI,
got it.
you'll notice that there is a completed tab next to your node UI, which
Nice.
shows that enough players have done the activity for you, and now this commission's on cooldown. So when your hand re-rolls once a day, if that commission cooldown is longer, you will lose that slot, and you won't be able to use that commission until that cooldown has ended.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so obviously the mayor needs to be somewhat prudent in the choices that they're making. Even if they do get the opt-in from their citizens, there is so much power they have available to them to affect that change. It is
I
governed.
mean, I think for
to a degree
balance
by some
purposes that
time.
makes sense. I
Exactly.
feel like that kind of irks me a little
But now
bit,
that
though.
we've
I don't
completed
know
it,
why.
you've received, as a result of this commission, a war token, specifically
Equip
for
with
the
my finger on why.
territory war type of war. So if you want to go ahead to the node relationships tab,
Okay.
you'll notice there's a list of nodes here, specifically Winstead.
I do see that.
And if you want to go ahead and click on that declare war button,
Oh.
we won't do it right now, but just to show you the steps here that you would take, that declare war button there, and it
Mhm.
shows there is a couple different types of war.
Does the
that
mayor just
you
get
have
to
access
declare
to.
war? Like, there's no voting
Oh, okay,
process
very
or
cool.
anything? I
All
suppose it
right.
probably depends on the node type, too, right?
So territory control obviously makes sense. Test node war is obviously one of our QA testing war types. There will be a
Okay.
number of different war types that are available that we'll talk about in a little bit as well.
Different? Okay, what the fuck's that gonna mean, I wonder?
Awesome.
'Cause, like-
well, so Steven, now that we have what we need to declare this war, do we want to go over to over to Winstead and kind of rub it in their face?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah, fuck
that
you,
would
Winstead.
probably make sense. Let me give a quick inspiring speech, if I can, of course, to our glorious citizens. What's the name of our node? This is Miraleth. Miraleth! Miralethians! Noble, great, and honorable Miralethians. Our city has been denounced by a rival node, the Winstead node. They know nothing of our
They
ways,
called us
of our people.
Big doo-doo
But
heads.
they know something not good. And
Fear.
anguish. There, thank you. Fear, anguish.
We will
Thank you. Well
march
done.
upon
You're one
their
of my
numbers
lieutenants. Well
and
done.
invoke fear in their
anguish.
ranks.
They will know that soon enough. For they
Stand
chose
tall,
to stand
men.
against the will of Miraleth.
For today
Let
we'll
us go
be
forward
victorious.
and teach
I don't
them the
know.
ways of our people.
I'm
All
probably
right.
not as good.
done
Realistically, I'm not as good as Steven at that.
Miraleth best prepare
Even
your
if that was
brooms.
pretty scuffed of him.
You'll need them to
but
sweep up
either way.
something. I didn't get that broadcast.
Is it like kind of pixely for
Marcus
you
is
guys?
loving
Is
this,
that,
the
does that
trash
mean?
talk. Oh, sweep up our ashes. Where are we planning to go?
Yeah.
Well, we were gonna go to Winstead, but I think we have company.
We have company.
My net should be fine. No one's on
We
it.
have unwanted company.
I'm
Been
hardwired.
spying
We're
on
good.
us? Who
Should
are
be able
these
to handle
people?
this. I'm hoping. It was lagging a little bit earlier. So I'm a little.
Oh, they're not affiliated with us.
They would dare to come to our town like this after we've just laid the gauntlet of war down?
Oh, they're ready.
Well, you haven't declared the war yet.
Oh, I haven't declared. Should I declare the war?
I mean, I feel like this is an optimal time to declare the war because we might get some
Freebies.
some easy kills.
You
Yeah.
know what? I think you might be now. Okay, now of course, they can't hear or know what we're gonna do here, but
They have no idea.
They have no idea. It's only the reason they've shown up.
What is about to happen? But the territory control node war. Talk to me first, Chris, a little bit about the territory control node.
Yeah, so we'll get into some of the more depth of war while we're walking, but the territory control war, as it kind of sounds, is about controlling territory, right? So what this is going to do is it's going to flag us against each other, the citizens of our node and the citizens of the node you declare on, and then we'll do battle over certain POIs in both of our zones of influence and gain control over them based on winning those events in those POIs. And once we've accumulated enough victory points, we'll win the war, which gives our zone a big buff as well.
I approve of the node war, and let us destroy them in 3, 2, 1. Oh, get him!
Oh god. That dragon just T-posed on them, dude.
Oh no. Oh dear. Did we get them?
I think we cleaned them out.
Oh,
Did we get
put a
them?
wall up.
I don't know where the
We're only
dragon
10
went,
times
but
their numbers.
That sounds like a future us problem.
Sure, that won't come to bite us.
I think we did destroy them. You know, I think I'm missing my blink. Where is my blink?
You gotta close your eyes and then you open them again.
Okay.
No, that blink.
Mm.
And my bubble. Oh, there they were. And I should probably get this arcane eye.
It's good to know that that actually functions and it's not
Yeah.
just like a for show,
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
like simulation
okay.
screen.
So,
I mean, not that I
they
had any
tried
reason to believe.
They tried to
there
stop us,
was,
but we can't be stopped.
Good assurance, right?
Where should we go now?
Well, so before we run off, open up your node relationships tab again,
Okay, got it.
and you'll see there's an active war, and we've earned some points in this war. If you go to the
So
top
there's
of
BDO
that,
wars then?
yeah, right there,
Okay.
and we have 5 points because we killed 5 people.
No.
Oh, nice. Okay, so during the war, obviously we have available.
Is that
to
what they
us
mean by
this-
different war types?
This that tracks kind of performance, and each individual player can track their performance within the war as well.
Correct.
Okay, and then it says earn 1,000 victory points
In
in
the
order
world's
to win
best.
the war.
Correct.
That's
That's the end condition of this war.
Ganker.
Now
name
victory
show
points
up.
are earned via kills and earned via completing objectives.
Okay. All right, cool. Awesome. Now, the event that it talks about, talk to me a
Yep.
little bit about that event.
So open up your map and scroll yourself over to, you'll see that Scroll to the left there, and you'll see there's a big circle
Nicely showing
around
the work in
Highwayman
progress
Hills.
map to the right.
Oh, harness the God Spike. Currently, it says active is 31 players. Does that mean they have 31 players already there?
That means they already have 31 players there. We better get a move on.
We need to go.
Oh shit, we're late. Oh fuck.
Let's start moving.
Get on your mount, Steven.
Let me see if I have a little horse that I could summon. Did I? Where'd my horse go?
I know the mounts are probably
Being
just going to
left
be
behind,
like
Steven.
generic,
Oh, here we go.
standard
I got it.
MMO mounts. I mean, that's what they
Okay,
were like very early on in development.
So, talk to me
But I do
about
kind of
the
like some of the
different
movement
types
animations at
of
least.
war events and war types.
Yeah, so war types are going to be pretty predicated on what they're actually delivering to the winners and losers, right? So this one's a territory control. The crux of what this does is you claim territory, which siphons the node XP from the nodes that from the POIs that you're winning these objectives at. It's also providing a luck buff there to prevent, or to, incentivize the players who win to go farm there, right? And generate more node XP for your node. We have other different types that we
They
plan
better not
to
make the
have
same fuck up
post
New
day
World
2,
did.
like disabling services in the opposing
Where
node,
eventually it just
siphoning
becomes
gold,
useless to do anything in the like lower game,
taking over mayorship
like fringe
temporarily.
nodes, early game fringe nodes.
Very cool. So there's a lot of different options that we intend to provide, obviously for the war system, and this is one of the primary methods of player friction, right? So we want to keep that kind of compelling, interesting from a design perspective, which all of these different war types are intending to provide. And throughout Alpha 2, we'll be introducing additional node war event types as well.
Correct.
Very cool. Talk to me, Kyle, a little bit about authoring this node war system. How did you go about, keeping it modular and, capable of supporting all these different types of wars?
Well, given the game design document that Justo provided, the goal was, of course, to provide something as flexible as possible to be able to give all of that design freedom. So we were able to leverage existing systems such as the game event system and the locale system to be able to give a massive amount of varying content from war to war.
Awesome. And obviously, talk to me a little bit about kind of the difficulties of authoring a system like that.
Yeah, the difficulty is definitely having to work between different teams because the game event system and the locale system are authored by the narrative engineering team. So we have to make sure that we can work discipline to discipline to get the needs that are required to bring something like this to life.
Nice. Awesome. And Zach, obviously, node wars, node events, those are some of the more high player density types of gameplay loops.
That's
Talk to
actually
me a
rare.
little bit about some
They
of
probably
the
won't do that. I feel like
difficulties you had on the performance side, working with tech art engineering and
Mortal tried
artists to kind of
and
get performance where
it just
we
made traveling the
needed it to
world
be
like
for this higher
just
player
a
density.
giant
Oh
chore.
yeah, for sure. For performance, it's really been a refinement of our pipelines and processes and workflows. With
Maybe
a
make
pretty tight
like
iteration loop on
like
testing,
the really good mounts with the really good skills
profiling,
rare.
like auditing those profiles, like seeing what we're at, and then like correcting things that need to be corrected. And especially with an MMO, we really have to support like a large array of player experiences. So the game has to run great whether you're a solo player or you're playing in a group, and then it also has to run great for big events like these where there's going to be upwards to 100 players sometimes, right? So it's really been all hands on deck from all the disciplines to refine our current existing standards and make sure that we can hit performance.
Their
while
back
continuing
end is really
look good.
nice.
Awesome.
Like we've seen
well, I
in
have
Alpha 1.
arrived at what I believe is our headquarters, and there appears to be a
Their
significant
optimization
portion
more
of our garrison
Um,
from the node that has arrived here, our guards. Where is the rest of our group? Oh, you guys should meet. Let's meet up here if we can at the headquarters, and let's do some planning. I'm sure there's some significant strategies that we can employ. Right, Chris?
Oh yes, there is. So the lowdown. First things first is if you look at your objective tracker, there's some
I
stuff
see.
going on.
Okay.
We need to gather imbued blood and imbued materials. Now, imbued blood is going to drop off bandits that have this glowy particle effect to them, and imbued materials are going to drop off ruby caches that are all around the POI.
Okay. Well, let me
And we have to do that before the enemy team.
I see.
If they complete it before us, we still can finish ours, but we'll be behind and they'll be on the victory condition.
Okay, so we're looking for these imbued bloods and the imbued material.
Flying mounts could be rare.
And the
That'd be
bloods
fine.
come from the bandits in the area.
Correct.
Okay, and the material are rubies that are kind of spawned throughout this particular zone. And let me open up my map real quick.
Yep. So marked on your map is all of the ruby locations, but the bandit locations are not marked.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the bandits are kind of sprinkled throughout the area, and these locations here that I'm hovering over, these imbued material caches, those are spawns around the area, and presumably that's where the enemy is going to be located as well, because we're all trying to acquire these in order to progress to the next stage.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, cool. Okay, so we should probably split up into 3 teams. If you are in party group 4 or group 5, you're going to be responsible for trying to acquire the ruby. So you're going to be going to those imbued ruby cache locations. Your primary objective is to avoid interacting with the enemy. You do not want to engage the enemy. If you see them, run.
Ooh.
You're just acquiring these resources and
Like a
trying to
strategy.
bring them
Okay.
back to where, Chris?
You got to bring him back here and talk to good old Scholar Thompson.
Okay. All right, cool. So you guys in group 4 and 5, you're going to acquire those. And probably if you're a ranger and can be camouflage, it would be beneficial for you to go out and try to acquire those. If you're in groups 1, 2, or 3, you're going to be running cover while killing the bandits. And then when they get the bandits' bloods, they're bringing those back as well.
Sorry, what was that? I was multitasking, Steven.
No worries, no worries. when they grab the bandits' blood, they're bringing those back as well.
They are bringing those back as well. Now, worth noting, they do drop on death, so if you end up with too much of them, be very careful.
Okay. Guys, I think before we head out, I'd like... Hold on. Let me get in a good position for you. I'd like you to all gather around in front of the dragon. I'm going to give you an inspiring buff. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now, I know that this venture would strike fear in the heart of normal men and women, but not in the hearts of Miralethians. Go forward. Bring back the trophy that is... Oops, hold on. Bring back the trophy that is the blood. Go forward. Let us move.
Let's get them, lads.
Get them. Okay. So where are these bandits at that groups 1, 2, and 3 can go? Oh, I
So
see
they're
some over here.
Yeah, they're going to be all over the POI. They've got this lovely little glow to them to signify their importance.
Okay.
Imagine being a bandit and you
Cool.
just start glowing like, uh-oh.
Now, if you come over here, we got a nice little cache of rubies.
Hey,
as
Jim,
well.
I'm not certain, but
rubies
I
at?
think the
Just,
adventurers are on the way.
Oh, I see.
West.
I'm just kind of I'm kind of watching out for the enemy while you guys are harvesting those rubies and killing the bandits. Ooh.
This does give me a lot of arcade
Very nice.
vibes.
So far, I don't see any. I see this light emanating from the center of this
like
area.
arcade's never
over here.
played quite like this at all at any point.
Yeah,
but
so
like
God Spike.
just like
That's the
having
God
like
spike. Now that is
your
what we
leader
were
on a
gathering
dragon
these
above you
materials
though.
for,
I don't know,
and
something
then
about
we're
that
gonna channel
gives me
these
arcade
materials
vibes.
into
Very reminiscent of arcade.
harnessing that like raw power that's emanating from the center of Highwayman Hills, so that we can steal the node experience and get ourselves
More
a
modern
nice
arcades,
little
I
luck buff
suppose. But either
in
way.
the POI after we win, because we never lose.
We have some enemies over here that I can see. We should probably get groups 1, 2, and 3 over here to interrupt them. It looks like is that us with the progress of 2?
That is us with the progress of 2.
Okay. All right. We've taken the lead.
Let's see. I'm running back a small stack of materials here.
Let me see where the raid
Hey, this looks
at.
fun. I think like obviously their
Okay,
simulated
looks like
version
we
here is a
are
little bit boring because it's
Bringing in a
scripted.
bunch of
I mean, this kind of
materials.
game, this kind of PvP would never be scripted. You would hope, anyway.
Talk to me, talk to me, Nathan, about what this process has been like from a production
But
standpoint.
it's I don't know.
Yeah.
Just thinking about
It's
what
gonna
it would
super
be
interesting
like.
one for us. Like, games are really always these really janky combinations of software and art and design, and all of these things are kind of coming together in a way that makes them inherently difficult to put out to the public. I've had my fair share of rocky launches in the past, and so what we've been really focusing on this time around is making sure that we're kind of honing that process early to try to make Alpha 2 day 1 as smooth as possible. Obviously it's going to have some hitches, but
Hot take.
this has been a really good opportunity
Shit
for us
launches.
to get in the habit of
I think honestly
pushing a build
strengthen
out.
player bases a little bit.
getting
long
feedback
as they're
from people
only brief.
around the world.
Obviously,
figuring
the
out,
last like a couple weeks.
what's
That's a
wrong with
shit
their
show and a half. But
specific, setup at home, so that then we
Like
can
New World's, like,
identify
several
those
month
issues,
long
triage
scuff
those issues,
fest
fix the ones that we
at
can,
launch.
in order for us to push a build out for the next round of playtesting, which we've been doing every 1 to 2 weeks for the last couple of months, I think. And so that's been, like, from a production standpoint, a really awesome kind of test run for us to get in the habit of this, like live service game that we're going to be supporting for a really long time. So that's been a lot of fun. A lot of work, but it's good.
Oh yeah, yeah. You guys done a great job on the production side of this. This feature is obviously a very, very detailed and encompassing feature. Touches a lot of different pieces. I see we have some great uses of the tank wall. Some of you from APOC may be remembering that particular wall. Oh, we're having a significant little battle over here.
Yeah, that's been one of the things we've been trying
I
to work
actually
on.
am
right,
like
is,
so excited to fucking play
making
the
sure
game.
that those objectives really help
Q3.
funnel the people towards those points of conflict. I think what was interesting here is some of our earlier iterations had us, it was kind of like this phase 1 where people just kind of PvE'd the whole time, and while we want to find that balance between PvE, PvP, where we become this really PvX game. And so that's been an area of focus for us, is like making sure that these objectives are things that people want to interact with.
Can't wait for people to
and then
bitch
fight
and
over.
moan like, bro, you are only you PvE'd us. You won the event because you PvE'd.
This is
Can't
a
wait
good
for
little
it, dude.
fight. Oh, I'm getting hit hard.
You do not.
I
It's
lost
one of
all
those
my
funny
abilities.
moments.
Let me grab it back.
Or PvPers
There
that
we go.
like have no strategy to them have this genuine
Oh, I see.
like
I see
fear
Dread.
of
And he's
strategy.
down.
Only took 10 of you.
Unbelievable.
It's the skill difference.
I say that as a PvPer, mind you.
Focus fire, Anduin.
I was that kid once upon a time that got angry when Jim and Bob
Perfect.
fucking
Let's move forward.
did the objective rather than fighting me.
Let's keep pushing. Go on, Neris.
It's funny
I
too,
got
is like
rooted.
at current point in time, I might play a rogue
And slow.
And Rogue
Oh, there's Margaret.
historically
Oh, get her.
She's on the dragon though.
has been a
No.
their
Okay,
role
we're
has
pushing them
historically
back.
been go behind enemy lines, try not to fight, pick your 1v1s if you can,
I've got Brian
but
on my
avoid it,
target.
right? Like think like Guild Wars 2. Your goal was always to flank
he's
and
tank.
get
He
the
wants you to target
node
Oh god.
and 1v1
Oh,
whoever the
God,
fuck was
need
on
help.
the node.
Backed out.
Like your goal was never to like join the middle and fight in the fray.
I do feel
Um,
wildly in danger.
All right.
Which I'd always found a
Let's
little
get
bit
the
lame.
group around me if you can. I'm going to use one of
His
the mirror
early Guild
abilities
Wars
to give
2
us some
Thief.
offensive power.
had the chance. They had a lot of
And
like
Chris, as I do this, talk to me a
weaving
little bit
capability
about
where
this
they could
ability.
really jump between a fight.
Yeah, so
And if you were really
Forward.
good, you could take on like
different
5
node
people
types
on your
have
own.
different mayor abilities.
Mind you, you were
that
squishy
can
as
be used in
shit,
different
so if you
scenarios, right?
played it
so
horribly, you just got nuked,
What
but
you
you
just
get my
used is the
That's a
war
really neat
ability
animation.
afforded to a scientific node.
Push.
And those abilities give a very large mitigation and damage buff to the players within your range when you use them.
How long does that ability last?
I believe the buff is 5 minutes. Our wonderful Dr. Bucky made those for us.
Oh, he got away.
They're
Oh,
flanking on
no.
the bridge.
On the bridge. Coming back around. Oh, they are. How's the progress going? 76 for them, 15
Yeah, see,
for
like
us?
while they're fighting here,
Oh my god.
you're gonna have your more
no,
stealthy,
we have-
quick-moving classes.
We have 2 objectives, Steven. The
Oh,
top one is we're at 15 out of 100. The bottom one we're at 76 out of 100.
Yeah, you're gonna
Oh,
have
okay,
them doing
perfect.
the objective.
That was concerning.
Maybe you're gonna get less
But you'll
geared
notice
players
there is
doing the
an enemy
objective, like
progress bar
like a
right below
BDO
that,
Node
too,
Wars
to
used to
show
be.
how
Like,
they are.
Good
you
call.
usually have
Looks
your
like
lower
they're
geared
slacking,
players
though.
like manning siege or some shit, right?
Okay. I've got a couple flankers over here. TP Noodle. Ooh, that's a good little blink.
It's also been really fun to see the metas kind of evolve over these playtests. You know, we had a point where there was the tank wall ability was a little too strong, and you know, got a chance to fix that before the recording, and that's just kind of been a really fun process over the last couple of months here. Cleric, thankfully, still OP for me, so you know, you love to see it.
Yeah, that cleric is very strong.
Cleric will always have a free pass at being OP, and it's one role that it excels at, if nothing else. Gotta be the best healer.
Some say
I
it's
got
the
Vance
only.
MX down.
It's not. I think Bard can heal a little bit too, but
Let's get
That was
not
nice
off.
of him to let you do.
I know, right? He's almost dead.
Like Trad, Keenan, I'm curious if there have been any like big. You were talking earlier about some of the surprises that have come out of the playtesting. I was wondering if you guys had any examples of things that you weren't expecting.
that'd be neat to hear.
but, you know, saw when we started really putting this combat system to test.
I mean, nothing that we weren't really expecting completely, but it has definitely been a huge help just like uncovering, you know, smaller imbalances here and there. Like the wall thing that you mentioned, for example, was a thing we actually knew was an issue and had fixed on another build, but like it was still funny seeing that like get completely taken advantage
Abused,
of it. Yeah, and it like showed some interesting like strategies, like how people would use them to zone each other in these little hallways and almost create your own effective like little corridors on the open battlefield. So we definitely want to see some of that sort of thing. It's just you know, a matter of balancing that.
rest in peace.
I think I died behind enemy lines.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's a great spot for the mage to be in.
Mayor's down.
Knee deep in the enemy.
Don't worry, guys.
Overextending over there.
Don't worry, guys. I turned in 2 blood.
Oh,
I
putting
know.
in so much work,
Yeah.
Nathan.
Yeah,
We still need more of the imbued bloods. That's the bandits, right?
That's the bandits. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna try to find some bandits to kill while you guys continue to hold them off. We need more people on bandits.
Yep, and bandits for this event are a little bit more scarce, but respawn a lot faster than the rubies, where the rubies are a bit more plentiful, but have a much slower reset rate.
So once you exhaust a ruby area, it becomes a bit more like annoying to find more. But the bandits,
There's
you could
my
theoretically
heroes.
camp a single location if you're having a hard enough time. Like if
Coming
it's
in
too
at the last
hot,
hour.
you can just pick a spot. I mean, like that's
Finding
fair, but like
bandits.
that feels
They
like
killed them all.
arbitrary gameplay,
No.
I guess, rather than like a solid
Yeah, there's a definite
reasoning.
balance
Like
between
it'd be different if like
targeting the PvE
there was only one
objectives and
objective,
then PvP because the drops
and it could
that
like
you need to
change
turn
depending
in,
on where the node war happens.
also can drop from players. So sometimes you'll want to gank people that you see because they might have some of the stuff that you need to turn in for credit toward the war.
See the god spike.
But it's also really easy to get trapped in long, drawn-out PvP engagements and let the enemy team just grind
Yeah.
out resources.
Yeah, because at current, what they're
And
doing
that's
is
part of
it's
the
called
strategy.
skirmishing,
Is like
right?
you know sometimes you'll want to tank up and have a bunch of people distract the group from doing the
They're
objectives while you're
defending
sending
so
out
that
those little
one side
side
doesn't go
squads.
fight
We've
the
done that
other
a few times in our
where
own
they don't want to be
testing for
fought,
sure.
right? But they're effectively skirmishing and not getting anything done. For
Found
the
some
record,
bandits.
depending on the game, skirmishing is usually a bad thing.
Oh no.
Like you want people
that's
PvPing
us.
in an area
Never
that
mind.
like is good, like Guild Wars 2. You want to be fighting for a point. You don't want to be fighting off
Alright,
in
getting some
nowhere's
bandit
land,
bloods.
right?
Oh, there's an enemy here.
An enemy in a PvP zone? That's crazy.
That's fucking wild.
Oh no, I might need some help.
So it's looking like at least Instead is done with the rubies, so we need to focus on bandits
Beat
now.
his ass.
So there's going to be a lot of competition on those.
Yeah, we're done with rubies
Sorry, getting
too.
a little excited. I
So
like
you're
watching the
in danger.
PvP. I do. Health
What is
bears
the
move a little
PvE?
weirdly. Oof.
Oh, I'm getting shot from above. All right, we got some bandits over here. I'm gonna go turn. them
No, he's got a cleric behind him, I think.
And just do you want to talk about some of the other
So I wouldn't put it past them.
use cases that like we're hoping people will incentivize people to want to engage in war?
Also, hey, House.
Yeah, I mean, we have, like, the goal here is kind of twofold for war, right? There is the player reward side of it, and then there's the, like, node reward side of it. Obviously, we want players to be invested in nodes and invested in what they have and what they can do. So, you know, those things are relics, they're services, they're resources, and you know, these wars can deny and even steal those things from other nodes, but also they're personally rewarding, right? Like we want to make sure players are getting something immediate for themselves, because obviously we know most players aren't going to run a node, and not every player is going to be invested as nodes as some other players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, those personal rewards, as we've talked about a little bit, in the case of this event, will result in a buff farming in this POI. So if there's some sweet loot that you're looking for from this POI, winning here is really valuable because you're higher odds of getting it in the future, or, you know, while you're farming here post this event.
Yeah.
On top of your...
Oh, go ahead.
on top of your traditional, just like some XP and some glint, you know, and
Right.
potentially those kinds of things, and node currency.
Well, and that's been kind of like a big part of the use. I think we talked about this actually last time we were talking about nodes during the Caravan livestream, but that's been a big part of the design ethos of the nodes team is like making sure that there are a lot of reasons
I think Steven forgets he's playing mage sometimes,
participate
man.
in nodes, so that you don't just like node participation isn't just relegated to that like top 1% most active, most attentive players. Like you can still you still have reasons to contribute and participate for on a lot of axes.
Well, and it's also
That's
about
good.
making sure
That was the worry I had earlier.
You're not just doing it out of the good of your heart, right? You're doing
Yeah,
it
for
because
sure.
you're getting something for your player progression immediately. And you can let like the big-brained kind of Zerg leaders manage the more
Good.
high end.
Right.
Good. That is effectively what I wanted. I wanted the very early Guild Wars
Holy
2
smokes.
World v World
I
experience,
just-
just with the open
I
world
just ran into a
arcade-esque approach to PvP. That is effectively what I wanted, and that's that. At least it sounds like that's what they're intending to
We had
get.
some flankers over here. Did not work out for them.
Well, it feels like they're like outnumbering us. Are there any planned protections for just Zerg v Zerg fights for large scale PvP?
You know, some of that comes down to how we design the events, right? But some of it also comes down to combat design. This event in particular, we're trying to fan players out by having lots of small things they have to do. And then at the end, when we need to fight over this channeling this God Spike is when Zergs are supposed to come together, right? So creating a place for
Very
Zergs
arcade-esque too.
to have something that they want to do, because there are people that do like Zerg combat versus people that prefer the smaller skirmishes.
Honestly, you need to provide both.
I think
you do.
really the way you incentivize it too is
Zerg fighting is
like,
fun.
There's no stopping players from Zerg v Zerging if they want, but if the objectives reward maximally, like splitting your forces, and ways we do that is we'll create simultaneous objectives in very highly different areas of the map. So if you're a one big Zerg ball, you might be winning your encounters, but you're not winning at
The objective.
divide and conquering, so to speak. So
Yeah.
eventually, like, players will learn, like, yeah, if we play this way, we're not going to be as effective.
That's good, because like Guild Wars 2, it was really good and really
We
fun.
need more.
It's a Zerg. It just is.
Love.
Yeah, we're falling really far behind.
You get to become one of the
no.
one of the crowd, and when you rise above and you become a really good player, you're noticed amongst your Zerg, and that's really cool.
Those are the off of the bandits.
In our group, we got
Those are off the
Simbo,
bandits, right?
Maybe we
who
should
became one of the
break
top
up and,
Guild Wars 2
have
players.
have everybody kind of try to get the bandits.
In terms of World v World, anyways. Man, click his
I know
fucking
a pretty
skills too.
good spot for the
What a hero.
bandits, but it's kind of in dangerous territory.
I think at this point we have to take the risk. The enemy progress is pretty high.
I do believe Danger is all of our middle names, so this should work out.
True.
I'm trying to think
Right,
who
so
else
it's
among. I mean,
just
Dream was a good
south and
SPVP
west
player, but like
Of the
not really a World v World guy.
of the enemy's camp.
Okay.
I don't have much of a Guild Wars 2 claim to fame. My claim to fame was just being like a top player in arcades for a while, or Unchained more specifically. I was no credit card warrior.
South and west.
I'm not gonna make it there. Social media man, why?
Social media man.
Truly the bane of everyone's existence.
Dude, that guy's got a crazy KD on me.
Oh no.
He's got his fucking number, dude.
Gotta work on that nemesis system, right?
That's right.
Well, I got him though. Right in time for Cryo to kill me.
From Hell's Heart.
I mean, you got a claim to fame. Just maybe
Okay.
not in like. Oh.
Hey, oh, who's our raid leader? I need to raid him.
Okay, we're good.
I just saw a ranger run past me in Biz. That was concerning. Mildly concerning.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. I was thinking the same fucking thing. Let's go.
Who's our raid leader?
Yeah, it's like in Guild Wars 2, I would rise
Wagner.
above in the like the
Wagner's
parses
on
and
his
stuff
way.
in our World v World Guild. And I was really good at what I did, but like I didn't play enough for them to like know my name as well as like Simbo.
No.
They've beaten
Not
us
until
to
the charity
channel
event. I think
point.
the charity event put me on the map for at least for Kryta, not necessarily for
So
like
now
Guild
things
Wars 2,
become even more challenging for us because we've got to balance holding them off of the objective while also trying to get more resources. So this is a tough spot for us to be in for sure.
Yeah,
Now-
But Arcade, I've
We
been
have ways to deal with
consistently
that, though,
across
right?
wipes
Now
and
there
private
is
servers.
some built-in
I've been,
catch-up mechanics.
a top dog.
In a few minutes
So-
here, some scholars are going to spawn across the POI. They'll be marked on our map. And
says
they're going
bigger
to
claim to fame.
increase the time it's required for the enemy to channel and drop a hefty amount of the materials we need to turn in to be able to channel ourselves.
Okay, that's good.
So, but these guys are, you know, group difficulty for people above at our level. We're definitely not going to be able to send just like a small squad of 1 or 2 people.
Where are those? Where we should gather up? Gather up at the headquarters.
Yep. Looks like they're popping in right now. If you look at your map, they're these little red swords.
Okay, let's get the team to kind of regroup. Let's regroup at the headquarters, and then we can try to make our way to those locations. And what are those again?
Those are scholars that are helping the process of channeling. So if we kill them, it'll make it slower for them, and we'll steal some of their materials.
Got it.
I am grouped up at the base that also has a respawn point. They are not related facts. I definitely didn't just get killed by Trat.
Oh no.
No, that can't happen.
Okay. I don't know
Trad's never killed
why he's
anyone in his
bothered to
life.
say that, but that's
I'm
fine.
a pacifist. Pacifist fighter.
All right. Let's head
That just
out.
looks cool.
All right, so there's going to be a scholar over here. Looks like some of our guys are already engaging it.
All right, let's go. Let's do
Oh,
this.
we got it.
Oh, we actually already killed him.
You'll love to see it.
Nice.
Now they're really taking their sweet time going to channel, though.
That's good. So we've killed 1 out of 4 of the scholars.
Yep. I'm heading to the next one right now, but I'm gonna need some healers.
I'm gonna keep an eye on them, see what they're doing.
Justo, you have my focus wand?
No,
Sword?
Trad's here camping me.
Yeah, I hate to see it.
Okay, they're definitely about to channel.
How they get, that's how they work
They are
out.
channeling.
We're
I need heals.
stress in the workplace. They just get on the game they're building and beat each other up.
They're trying to interrupt their channel.
Have a PvP. Yeah, that's fair. I guess maybe not.
All right, Dread's down. We gotta take the scholar down.
Yeah, we got a good group here.
But that's fine.
They
I don't think you need a claim to
are-
fame.
is that- so the,
and think about how many people
the
play
progress
MMOs
bar,
and
is that their channel
don't have
progress?
one.
That's their
That's right.
channel progress, yeah.
Oh no.
So it should have just gone down. We just took one of the scholars down.
Nice.
And killing all the scholars effectively doubles their channel time.
Okay.
We've got 2 scholars left to kill if we can hold them off long enough.
And yeah, we're almost at 100 of the imbued blood, so we still need people killing the bandits while we delay them with the channel.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've engaged the
200%.
next one, but it seems like no one followed me here.
Oh no. I'm gonna check out their.
I'm right here with you, Justo.
Check out their headquarters.
Honestly, running out of things to say. It's just cool to watch.
Oh no. I'm in
I
danger.
feel like they've already addressed all my concerns. I think
killing
it
on these
sounds
guys.
cool. I'm excited.
Oh no. I'm gonna see if I can try to distract them.
I forget the name of the event, but I'm
Goat,
the
I
God
think, is the
Spike
one.
reminds me of the
Oh
Sea
no,
Knight
Keenage.
flag
Keenage is the
thing
one. He's almost
from
at
fucking
50%.
No, leave me alone.
I don't know why I can't
We
think of the
need to
fucking
take out
event name right
Keenage.
now. But
Yo.
Where's the squad? It looks like all.
We're coming in.
Don't mind me.
Oh, we only need 2 more. We only need 2 more blood.
Hey, I'm just vibing over here. What are you guys doing?
oh shit!
All right, we gotta clear.
Uh-oh.
We have to clear
Dragon.
the enemy team off the God Spike to be able to channel.
I did a little dive bomb on Keenan. But I don't have anybody
Oh
here to
no,
follow
that's
up.
a lot of red. Oh
I'm
god.
on my way.
Oh boy. Uh-oh.
Owie!
Nice.
Oh,
Good
Keenan's
retake.
down. Okay, there we go.
Hell.
Hells, you forget you do have a claim to fame in Final Fantasy 14.
All right. We've got some clerics on the point if we want to have people try to channel.
Really, it would have been embarrassing to lose to a ranger, you know?
Oh, no.
You were the first person to figure out
They're
that if you
definitely
timed it
pretty
right on Death Knight, you
we
could
can
you
push
could
it in.
tank the entire I forget the name of the phase
Keep
of,
heals on
of
Xeon.
Titania Extreme. Or we say the first that anyone was aware of, I should say. Which, if done
Take my
correctly,
buff.
made the phase significantly simpler for both tanks. Well, maybe for the other tank, I should say. But
Let me see if I can dive bomb them again.
it may not be like the biggest claim to fame, but it's something.
Got the pocket heals?
I'm down, Nathan. You got the pocket res?
No.
What the fuck's a pocket res? Brother, pick me up.
I'm never having you on my team again, dude.
Oh no. Xeonin left.
Okay.
Are you even in the raid, bro? How am I supposed to res you if you're not in the raid?
Nah, I fell out of the raid.
Oh man. Well, it sounds like a skill
Okay.
issue.
Looks like we're channeling.
Oh, we dropped a channel?
You better heal your channeler. It's gonna be death from above.
Oh no.
I'm trying.
Let me give you some of my mayoral abilities.
Oh, nice. Nice. Big buffs coming through.
Push!
Love it.
Push!
Oh no.
Oh, I'm super stunned. Why,
Got him.
Trad? Why?
Now people were
It
aware
was
of it.
worth the death. I had to.
It's like he doesn't even want me to play the game.
Gotta go Zerg
I don't know.
Guardian
That seems.
every now and then.
I wonder if they knew about it at the
Keep
same time,
pushing.
like before you did it or after. Because I remember we looked up guides. Nobody was ever talking about it being a potential thing you could do.
All right, Eli's a channeler. Get them heals on him.
So I suppose that could just be a case of them not like thinking it was worth mentioning. But I don't know. I thought it was useful when we were going through it.
Pushing, nice.
I suppose we didn't have much of an outside view though.
So these mayoral and dragon abilities are pretty impactful. Do combat team, do y'all want to talk through like what you guys were going for there, what you're kind of seeing these look like as we kind of move forward and do A2?
Yeah, I mean the point at least of the flying mount having such powerful abilities is there's only really expected to be one of them per side, in at least wars like this. You know, because these would be more exclusive to the mayor. So they're intended to be really impactful, and also a high priority target because you can kill the mount and you can kill the rider. So it's on the mayor to be very careful, like when they're putting themselves, you know, in danger, to activate these abilities because they themselves are such a high priority target.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, how are we doing on the channel?
Not good.
We keep getting pushed off of it, unfortunately.
I think like we need to try to organize everyone to move along the left side and try to push into them. Let's see if I can give us one more ability. Here's some. Let's try to push together.
Nice.
I think the Marrow ability could have a bit
I need
of
some
a
pocket heals on
cooldown, but
instead.
Don't do that.
I suppose one would hope you'd have
channelers. It's not
both sides would have
nice.
one, but
It isn't nice. There we go.
I
Nice
didn't
use
know
of the
this was
walls.
Was this a tea party? I was not informed.
So we're having a lot of deaths here. I'm sure people are worried about, like, what does being in a war mean when your rate of dying probably increases a lot more than what you'd expect when doing normal kind of like PvE gameplay.
Yeah, so during sanctioned PvP events, we turn off typical death penalties, right? Like you're not going to get res penalties, you're not going to get XP debt, you're not going to get durability damage. You will still drop the things you have in your inventory, though.
Mm-hmm.
Or in your material inventory specifically.
So obviously that's like a big part of this
performance
game
has been
mode.
pretty good. I will
As
say.
far as like the larger idea for material inventory, what was sort
There's
of
been a little bit of lag,
the
but I don't know if
thinking
that's
behind that, or is
the
that just sort of
stream
like a
or the recording.
convenient thing?
It doesn't
to
really
make
feel
sure
like
that
it's the game.
we're used to things. Oh, there you go.
Might be though.
I mean, don't stuff your material inventory full of stuff before you
Yeah.
go to war.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, when you're right, you're right. What can I say?
Ooh, okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh no.
Now we clean up.
That's a problem.
Victory in death. Winstead scum.
Oh my
Love
god, they're
Taro
taking
Gar?
it back.
How are you guys going to take
Oh.
advantage of that luck bonus if you don't control the zone?
We won, Steven.
Did we win?
We win. You weren't even paying attention.
Oh, how did we win?
We finished channeling.
It was my clutch heals, ignoring the siren song of Justo endlessly asking for reses and focusing on real targets.
Oh
You guys
god.
may have won the
Killing it.
war, but you will not win the
Battle.
battle.
I think that's a little backwards.
Well, you may say that, Keenan, but if you look at the point distribution, we're 800 to 304 right now.
Ooh, that's right. Let's take a look at that.
How'd you guys get so many points?
Well, we won objectives and killed you a lot.
Oh my god.
So, okay. So we completed the event. That's obviously not the end of the war though, right?
Correct. So basically the way wars are structured is a war contains phases and phases contain events. So there are conditions to win a phase and then there are conditions to win a war. Winning a phase gets you some amount of like in the moment rewards and some more long-term rewards. winning events gets you some amount of in-the-moment rewards and long-term rewards, and then the war is like the massive objective that you're competing towards.
Got it.
So what we have gotten, if you open up your map, you can hover over this blue banner. You notice Highwayman Hills is controlled by Mirrorleth now.
Ah, so we've made an
Good.
incursion into their area.
So they've begun their
so
annexation.
now all of the territory associated with Highwayman Hills is ours, and the node XP from here goes to our node. And as a way to kind of incentivize players to play here, we've given a luck buff in this area as well, so you can get increased loot drops while you're here, farming for your node.
Neat.
Nice. So the citizens of Mirrorleth are rewarded for some period of time based on the event outcome.
Correct. So if we had lost, we would not be getting this buff or siphoning this node XP, and Winstead would be getting this buff for successfully defending their home.
Now, obviously, this is one of many different war events, and one of the war events reward types. What are some of the other events that we're going to be introducing during Alpha 2?
Yeah, so a big one we want to do is the service denial. So that'd be like turning off your caravansary or shutting down your construction buildings for a period of time, right? So like you've built the best blacksmith on the server, and we don't want this node gearing up for something, or we're trying to compete with them and we want the best blacksmith at our node, so we're gonna go to war and try and shut down that service for a period of time.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
You know, the kind of most exciting post A2 one that we want to do is relic based, where you could potentially steal a relic from a node or destroy their relic so it's reintroduced into the world, and you can and now your node can acquire it.
Awesome. And then obviously we have, we talked a little bit about the mount and how we're going to be moving that to level 3, the level 3 village node for the purposes of entrance A2. Same with the mayoral abilities, and those mayoral abilities are only activatable during events or outside of the events as well.
So the mayoral abilities you used in this showcase are only activatable during a war. So that means you could activate it, now that the event's over, you could still use that ability, but only within the context of this PvP kind of state that the two nodes are in. But
Cool.
The mayors will also get access to like special abilities they can use during sieges as well that are unique to sieges.
Oh, very cool. Love it. Now, obviously, people watching the showcase today about the Node War and the Node War events, performance is something that we are going to be getting really into over the course of the next, we have gotten into over the course of the last couple of months, but we're
Honestly,
really going to be
it seemed
getting
that
into
it seemed a
over the
lot
course of the
better than
next
previous
couple of months
showcases.
as well. What can players expect to see both on the client side and on the network side?
Still not
Talk
perfect,
to me a
but
little bit about that, Zach, that work.
So for the client side, we really expect this to be like a seamless experience to where we're going to have some like dynamic load balancers that help, the best case and the worst case, where the best case is you're, in a group by yourself, and the visual fidelity of that should be just as good as the visual fidelity of, the large scale sieges or node wars and things like that. So, we're going to be refining our character shaders, and everything is going to be really in the back end, right? So the player experience should really be seamless, and we handle everything under the hood to make sure that you get good frame rate during these different types of experiences.
And players are also going to have a lot of options when it comes to kind of tuning that experience for their specific hardware. I know one of those that we recently have instituted is DLSS. You want to talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the DLSS integration has been great. On the 40 series NVIDIA cards, we've been able to nearly double our frame rate just by enabling the feature, right? So it's been a pretty big win for us.
Yeah. And then obviously, one aspect of the game that you guys are witnessing currently in the showcases that we've given over our different features has been, visual effects as a whole. There is currently underway a lot of revisiting some of those effects from a performance standpoint, as well as from like a visual soup standpoint with regards to these larger scale battles. And this hasn't been, something obviously that we have traditionally focused on because, we're still actively in the development process of these particular archetypes and all these abilities. But now that we have kind of those base kits ready to go for start of Alpha 2, we're going to be focusing in on refining them and making them more friendly, both on the performance side as well as on the visual language side. Also, right, Keenan Trad?
Yeah, that's right. It's nice when those things go hand in hand. Like, you don't want to see too much, but what you do want to see, you want it to look good. So,
Also, not just from a aesthetic standpoint, but reading the most important gameplay information is going to be key. Like, we have to identify, like, what are the most important telegraphs for someone to be able to identify an ability that they're expected to respond to, versus just the other kind of fluff and noise that it is more for the, the visual fantasy of it. So we have to kind of consider gameplay information first.
Betty mode
Absolutely.
is
Hey,
interesting.
if everybody wants to come over near the Miraleth side headquarters, we're kind of gathering up here as we finish chatting about the showcase a little bit. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think people will kind of see the progression that we are reaching now towards Alpha 2. There's a lot of kind of performance-related tasks, polish and getting ready for, external players to come in and participate. I will say one thing that has been very beneficial, and the studios is, very appreciative of our interaction with the Phoenix Initiative group, but they have been really successful in assisting us playtest, this particular gameplay feature that is wars and the war events, but also, they did so with the caravans and will continue to do so over the course of the next couple of months. And we will begin to, at some point in the very near future, extending that out as we draw closer to Alpha 2 to some Alpha 1 participants also. Hey, let's keep it friendly. Let's keep it friendly. Let's not attack
Here,
these poor people.
I can solve that, Steven.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Let's see. Oh,
Justo the Peacemaker.
we have done it. Well done.
While
Well
rubbing the
done.
score in our faces.
Yeah,
I know, really.
you gotta
Very nice.
let them know.
Now, mass combat is going to be something that is tested as part of obviously Alpha 2. You guys are seeing here a brief taste of that as it relates to these node wars and these node war events. But there are going to be PvE content, raids, world bosses that players are going to be expected to kind of interact with in a similar fashion of player density. So a lot of that performance work we were talking about obviously goes to make sure
considering the
that
amount of
those
people they have for
experiences
Alpha
are
2,
enjoyable, that they are running smoothly for the players.
it'll run them.
That's going to be our focus over these next few months here. Talk to me about war rewards. What are the types of war rewards that we are going to be starting Alpha 2
They got
with, but
some good
also going
names
to
in
be
the crowd.
implementing in the long run, Chris?
Sorry, multitasking again, Steven.
No
One more
worries.
time.
Yeah, just talking a little bit about kind of the war rewards that are going to be available obviously now, but also as we continue into Alpha 2. What are some of those rewards that we want to kind of get up and running?
Yeah, there's a large laundry list, but I can hit you with a couple few here. The
But
big ones that we
Anduin?
want to hit
Of the hit MMO,
are
World of
pulling up
Warcraft.
my list.
Nice.
So obviously, like, you're seeing the buffs with winning teams. I talked a little bit about like disabling services, siphoning gold from the enemy node. We want to do temporary mayorship control, where the winning mayor can kind of take over a limited control of the node that they defeat. Reducing taxes for the citizens within that winning node, obviously stealing their node XP, which is what we're doing here. And then we also want to do stuff where this enables new content that is exclusive for the winners, right? Like doing this means a raid boss spawns that, that the winners can participate in killing.
Awesome. Very cool. What are some other topics that we, I was definitely zoned in a little bit during the gameplay there for the event. So, what are some of the topics that we kind of, wanted to chat about as well? We can bring up now. I know that we had mentioned the mount abilities. We talked a little bit about the mounts. How that's going to work. There's also going to be mount abilities that are for basic land mounts as well. Those will be at entrance for Alpha 2. So it's not that just
Bro, the
obviously
mounts-
the mayors
the
have
mounts are
access
in,
to these cool
but not
dragon
rogue.
mounts, but players will obviously have access to mounts and some mount abilities also. That's work that you've been doing, right, Trad, with Red?
Exactly. Yeah. And those are already in progress as well. They won't be as spectacular, epic, and raid impacting as the mayoral ones, because we have to account for potentially 100 of them present instead of
Right.
2. But you'll still have stuff you can do to more at a personal level, like getting like a CC break or a sprint, that kind of stuff. So
cool, awesome. All right, well, guys, that was fun. I really enjoyed it, and played well, and obviously there's still a ways to go when it comes to continuing to develop this ahead of A2. But I think that what we're looking for from the community is to kind of talk to us about how you felt with regards to the event, the Node War system as a whole, the mass PvP. These are obviously things that we want to get feedback on. We've gotten, as I said, a tremendous amount of feedback when it comes to our PI testers. But now, as you guys are getting an opportunity to kind of see this for the first time, what it plays out as, and just to remind everyone, like, these events are not the Node War, and the Node War is not just these events. Outside of the prime-timed events, which is for a particular server location, may occur between 6 and 8 p.m. Local time for that server. Outside of that, there is still the war overall, and that war overall is essentially being openly flagged for PvP with the citizens of the 2 nodes. Give us your thoughts about that, about the system. It is a key component of the PVX aspect. I think it does carry with it some significant rewards. Obviously, keeping in mind that visual effects, performance, UI are still a work in progress. A lot of that is getting touched up over the next few months.
I think providing faction content
about what you saw here today
that isn't like
With
static.
That being said, I must say,
might actually
our Phoenix
be a
Initiative
really,
job well
really
done.
neat way to
Your
do it.
assistance is always very much
Like, you're not always going to be at
appreciated,
war
as
with the same
well as
node.
Our glorious guests, our engineers Kyle, Keenan, Zach, along with our designers Trad and Chris, and of course, our
it's
lovely
not like World of
producer,
Warcraft or
Nathan.
Arcade.
You guys
or
have done a phenomenal job in standing up this
etc.,
particular feature
right?
for A2. I think I speak for the community
Where
when I
like
say
the other faction is
everyone
always just someone
very
you're at war
excited
with.
to play this, to compete with one another, their friends, and to have some rivalry and jest, as it is meant to be. Obviously,
It's not always Alliance
that's
versus
what
Horde.
MMOs are all about.
Sometimes it's Mirror versus
With that being
Winstick.
said, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys out in the community enjoyed it, and we will see you back on stream very soon. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye,
Cheers.
Steven.
GG.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm going to fix the volume here. 1 second. The recording's always a little quieter.
We are back, and I'm gonna play the video whilst we chat, so you can. I'll kind of fast forward here, so you can see.
We did it.
We did
Win
it.
said did not win. I didn't even notice.
It's funny. You're like, we won.
But to be fair, that's what I was talking about earlier, right? There's still a lot of UI work, the proper toasts and like fanfare when the
it did
victory
pop up, but I
occurs.
think you two weren't
It
paying
was
attention.
I was like too drilled in on the on the battle.
It's hard sometimes, and you can tell whenever like folks stop talking is because they're like concentrated on the battle. But I do want to preface again before we get into some questions that we gathered questions. So thank you, Vaknar and Roshan, and our social media social media man as well for popping in questions and making some notes here for us. But of course, we did say at the preface that everything here is work in progress. You know, all of our UI, everything, but specifically, we made a mention of VFX and performance that we're very aware of and that we're working towards. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit
Yeah,
more about that again, Stephen,
sure. Yeah,
just because I saw
absolutely.
it like as a lot of people were talking about it, and we're very much aware. That's why we prefaced it.
Yeah, for sure. We did preface it just to what's the opposite of preface? Suffice?
Stuff is,
Oh,
yeah.
just to no, wait, no, wouldn't be. I don't know, whatever.
We're making a
But
sandwich.
just to reiterate, obviously the focus over the course of the next couple months is going to be really to drill in on the visual effects language, that soup that we kind of see in the middle of battle. Some refinement to be there, and it's already been underway. There's been some reapproach to the mage VFX that you guys have seen. Also, keep in mind, like, we have significant lighting changes that are happening as well that can affect visual effects and need to kind of go back and iterate on the visual effects based on the lighting changes. We're deploying those lighting changes over the course of this sprint. So that's over the next week or so, week and a half. And that's gonna, and we've been waiting to kind of really go and tune the visual effects until those changes come in. Otherwise, we'd have to do it
His feet
2
just clipped
times,
into the
right?
fucking wood.
So
I just
keep in
noticed
mind,
that.
we're aware of that. That is something we are working on.
Didn't catch that the first time.
Because you're seeing something in a work in progress state, you're going to see things that aren't quite up to where we want them to be yet, because we're actively working on them. On the UI front, our UI team is phenomenal. They're an unbelievable team, very capable artists and designers
They just saw a lot of
and
icons,
engineers.
like it where it says
Yeah.
icon, you know, because we're still making
Yeah.
those icons.
And again, like, part of the fact that you guys get to see the game in development without the veil is you're gonna see those things, right?
I don't
And
know. I know he has to
UI is
say it,
under
and
the
he
gun to
has to add
service
that
pretty much
caveat, and he
every
has to
system in the game.
fucking beat it into our
And
fucking
because of
brains.
that, some
Because
of
there's a
this
lot of
stuff
people
is
that just
just
genuinely won't
somewhere
get
in their
that.
backlog and not as high priority,
It still is
because they're
wild to me
still getting
though
some of the functional systems up and
that I
running.
would
But
take
those passes
this
will be
unfinished
had
state
also before entrance into
as a
2.
full
On the
release,
performance
as opposed
side,
to any MMO that's come out in the
Zach
last like
Mallet and Zach Strange have
I
done
was
a
about to say 10
phenomenal
years,
job
but
on the
let's say
networking
like closer to
team,
like 6 to
engineering
8
team,
years.
tech art side,
Because there's a
in
couple of good
kind
MMOs
of,
like
taking
like the
what
10 to
is
12, maybe 14
the
years ago.
maelstrom of development and
Point
starting
that
to now kind of
we're
hone it
pretty good. This
in
is
better
the
product
last like
performance,
good
but
set of releases
also
of
network
MMOs.
performance side. Next month, we're going to have a deep dive on performance and kind of give you guys some insight there. I guess I'm spilling a little bit of the beans on what that's going to look
Well,
like, but
a little teaser.
yeah, little
It's gonna be
teaser.
very tech heavy, so prepare yourself. But we'll
It,
make it entertaining.
it'll be tech heavy, but it'll be entertaining. But also, it's very important, and I think it gives you guys a look at um, some of the more nitty gritty side of development. It's not going to be as shining and awe as the Node Work demonstration, but it's going to give you insight to how we approach these massive problems, not just problems for us as a project, but problems for games in general. How do they service such high player densities? What is our proprietary approach to doing that, and basically the ace up the sleeve that is trying to make another massively multiplayer, online role-playing game. So that is something that is still having work done. They're doing a phenomenal job towards that front, and I think you guys will see the fruits of that labor come Alpha 2.
Yeah. So I'm going to get into these questions. We have a lot, so let's get through them. The first one here is there going to be a system that lets opposing nations sabotage war preparations, like a rogue sneakily burning food storage or poisoning the water supply, prohibiting a war from even starting?
Yeah, I think so important note on the war starting, right? We talked a little bit about at the start of the video, how mayors kind of need buy-on from the citizens in order to achieve that. Part of that buy-on requires the acquisition of certain resources. So when you think about like espionage, okay, I have someone who's telling me that a war commission has just been initiated by the mayor. Now, that approach is somewhat placeholder for the purposes of introducing this Node War gameplay loop for Alpha 2. long run goal there is that there will be reputation scores that we haven't implemented yet between nodes, and you will see as reputation scores deteriorate. And when they deteriorate, it serves as a predicate for the mayor to now have the option to start those war procedures. Now, still in the long run, you're going to require buy-in from the citizens. And when people catch wind of that, there are ways to disrupt, to prevent the acquisition of some materials in order to acquire the war scroll, to influence the land management score of the surrounding area, to capture caravans that are moving those supplies to the node. Like those are all, 10,000 foot level strategy, not tactics, but strategy in how do I stop a rival node where I see my reputation score with them is low enough that they could start these actions. And now I'm starting to see rumors and whispers of the citizens supplying the things that the node needs in order to act on this war. So just keeping in mind, like the intent is to provide that political intrigue, to give those types of actions to the players where they can disrupt those
If you're an
activities.
asshole and everyone
And
knows it,
likewise, if your mayor initiates something like
and your
that, like a
node
commission
thinks it's
like that,
fucking
if you
funny
as the
to promote you to
citizens
mayor,
do not want
they're
to
gonna get their shit
complete
pushed,
that, you do not
and it's
have to
gonna be
do those
funny
objectives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
for everyone else except
Absolutely.
them.
That is so again, like the commission approach is a temporary approach just for the purposes of Alpha 2 to give the gameplay loop a space. But it still represents what you just described.
Mhm.
Citizens have to buy in. And the way in Alpha 2 they're going to buy in is by completing those commissions. Now, let's say the majority of citizens don't want to complete those commissions. Then the mayor is not capable of utilizing the action, and they've wasted that commission slot for some period of time and the cost associated with deploying it as a result. So mayor kind of has to be in tune with the desires, the will, the mandate, you might say, from a political perspective, of what their populace wants.
All right. And then the next question is something we've talked about a few times, but I feel like it's something that, was brought up because of the massive scale of war.
Sure.
Is will there be VoIP options for people like voice
Yeah.
over IP options? Yeah.
Not at the entrance of A2. That's not in scope for what entrance A2 will be. However, during A2, we are going to have regular updates to the game where we're introducing new content, new zones, new features. Essentially, these will be regular updates. Voice over IP is an intended feature that exists within 3 spaces: taverns, parties, and raids. So otherwise, we're going to rely on you and your social circle, in Discord to kind of have voice over IP. But in the areas where we expect players to interact with people they don't know, right, or to meet new people that they don't want to have to share a Discord link with, or take the interaction beyond just the surface level, hey, you're in the same raid as me, we will provide that option through a voice over IP within those areas.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. So those of you who have been here for ages, you know that, but I just want to preface because some people are just joining us today. This is your first time seeing Ashes of Creation. I want to make sure that you are aware and it has context. The next question is, are there any plans to have upkeep costs to war in addition to the initiation costs? It would be incredibly compelling to know that crafters and gatherers would have to work double time to ensure that the war can go on or even stop supporting the war if they find it unnecessary.
Not necessarily within the war context. However, I think the crux of that question is, how do we
Kind of like what I
include
said earlier. Yeah.
how do we include material resource requirements, active artisanship engagement, like all of these other gameplay systems? How are they interconnected with a political event like war? And the way we achieve that is, obviously there are things that can enhance your war preparedness or your war efficacy through the use of unique weapons during war, unique upgrades to your guards by supplying resources to the barracks so that you have stronger guards at your headquarters, or weapons and shields and armors that can be utilized through the barrack system. In addition, vehicle support for sieges. Like there's a lot of different ways where crafting and artisanship plays a role as enhancing, not necessarily maintenancing a particular war or feature.
I did hear
Okay.
some people asking about that stuff. So I think that
Yeah.
crafters out there will
I
be
mean, they're the
excited.
lifeblood of
Hey,
The next,
a lot of
just
it,
to be
right?
clear, crafters are the shit in Ashes.
oh
I know I
yeah,
said that in the
like
past,
our world
but it's
revolves
like
around them. Yeah,
Yeah.
in a lot
absolutely.
of
So
ways.
it's not just crafters are relevant for player-to-player trading. Crafters are relevant for a lot of gameplay loops within Ashes, and not again in a way to kind of inhibit those things from occurring, but rather to enhance them, to give you a leg up or your side a leg up.
All right. And then people want to know, is it possible to be hired as a mercenary when I'm not a citizen of the node, which are in war? Like if I want to.
As a mercenary, there's not a direct like mercenary contract kind of system. However, there will be certain war scrolls that will be available in the future, not obviously at the entrance of A2, but there will be certain war scrolls that could be cooperative, right? That allow multiple nodes to
Like
kind of
alliances?
joint declare war.
Yeah.
And also potential defensive pacts and treaties that exist at the
That'll help the political
diplomacy
side of the
level
game a
between
lot,
nodes.
actually.
So those types of systems are intended.
And I guess the people over on Discord got a bingo. For those of you who
Uh-oh.
don't ever hang out in the Discord, I highly recommend it. There's like a watch party going on. They make a bingo card every week or every month where they try to like guess what's gonna show up on the live stream. Um, I didn't look to see what it was, but they got
What
one.
was the bingo? They got a bingo?
Yeah,
It was
they have.
probably that I cursed.
I don't know what the final thing that got them the bingo was. Then I just saw someone screaming, "We got bingo!" Um, can we declare war outside of server prime time and PvP for 20 hours without gaining corruption?
You can declare war outside of the server prime time. The key about server prime time is that events cater to prime time, right? So these inflection points where our expectation from a gameplay design is to allow or afford players an opportunity to participate in highly impactful, events within the game, those get delegated to prime time. So this event that you saw today, while the whole war is not determined by that event, success within the event grants additional score, point score to the overall war, and there may be multiple events that occur over a multi-day war between nodes that the sides can catch up in. Prime time does not influence war declaration, so you could have a war declaration occur at an off-hour time, but ultimately a war declaration is primarily just we're openly flagged against each other, and these events will spawn during prime time that we need to make sure our organization, our citizens are organizing
Available.
for and aware. Yes, exactly.
And it was a naughty word
Aha!
that got
There
you
we go.
bingo. I've been informed from all spaces. People are pinging me. They really wanted me to know. The next one is: would a team get more points for killing a mayor?
Yeah, so we've talked about that in the past. That is not just a mayor. We've talked about expanding that out to special positions within the node. So, like head of a social organization or head of a religious organization. Um, we want those positions to be potentially more prized positions, so they could score more points. But alternatively, they also might have some powers during war as well, as we saw with the mayoral
Yeah,
abilities.
okay.
So yes,
More risk
And those
reward.
definitely an
mayoral
intent.
abilities you can only really use during the wars when those wars are happening. You can't just like
That's
use them
correct.
willy
Yeah,
nilly all the time because that
yeah.
was something that people brought up.
Correct. Mayoral abilities are used during war or during sieges. So to be clear, what we're talking about is wars. There is a different type of conflict that occur for nodes. Those are sieges. Those are very acute event-based situations, where you are, warned ahead of time that this is up and coming, and the sieges are also delegated to prime time.
Cool, cool. And then, will there be any way to differentiate color-wise between ally and enemy spells?
That's a good question. I do not believe that that is something that we are intending to do. Um, that could potentially be considered some type of accessibility option that we might be able to service from a tech art side of applying some type of Fresnel, to the effects. Or I'm not sure. That's a good question. I know that there's been discussion and some plans around that potentially as an option, but I don't have a good answer at this point right now.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing because people are like, well, how do I know if that's an enemy thing that I need to stand in or a friendly thing that I need to stand in? So we've had the conversations for sure. After declaring war, are your enemies also auto flagged in the war zone or just your citizens?
Mm, I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
After declaring war, are your allies also auto flagged in the war zone or just citizens? So let's say I'm not a citizen of this node. Um, I walk into Highwayman Hills and there's a full on battle happening. Am I auto flagged as an ally of
So
that node?
So previously we had discussed in the past about alliances
You'd be
being
like a
on the hook
third
for
neutral third
sieges.
party, right?
We had historically gone back and forth with regards to wars. I believe that the position we're in now from a design perspective is that certain war scrolls and war types will induct alliances as participants of the declared war, but not all wars will. So that is predicated on the war scroll used, I believe.
Right. And then, is there a cap of how many players can do a node war objective? And can more people join while it's still in progress?
A node war objective. You mean like in the event?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the events are not intended to be capped. Right now, our goal is to provide a setting where, in the open world, players can, if they are citizens of the node or participants of the event or the war, that they can move in at any time during the event and participate. That may be something that depends on the event type. As Justo said during the Node War live stream, there will be different types of events. I wouldn't rule out that some of those events might be participant restricted.
You're okay.
Steven's
Um,
done.
and then people want to know about the dragons. Obviously, they were, each mayor had a dragon that is specific to Node Wars. Um, can the dragon be killed? What happens if a dragon dies? And is there a cooldown?
Yes. So there will. So for the purposes of Alpha 2 entrance, the intent is to provide dragons to mayors. We had talked about dragons being delegated to level 6 nodes. That is still the case in the long run. However, we have the technology and the system built, so we want to afford players the opportunity to interact with that during Alpha 2. And as a result, we are going to amend the predicate requirements to only be a mayor of any node level. Now, that that particular mount, and any potential armors that might also be associated as a mayoral grant will be timed and associated with the mayor's term. When that term ends, they will lose access to those things. The intent for the gameplay space that the mount exists within is that during certain events, whether it be a war event, or a siege, the mayor will have the ability to utilize that mount. And that will likely come with some cost up front that the mayor needs to pay in order to do that. And when the mount dies, they will have to essentially be subject to a cooldown period for the mount to be available again to use, and have to pay the cost again. So it is a high risk, high reward type setting, because that mount affords a unique set of abilities that the mayor then has access to for that particular event.
And for this demonstration, we asked people to not kill the dragons, not steal the dragons, just to leave them
Right.
alone, specifically for this battle, just because we were trying to resolve some things. So just
Yes.
if
Yeah,
people are
there's
wondering
still some
why,
outstanding
yeah,
work there
yeah,
on the mount tech. Right now, the mount tech is very universal. and we need to have some
Oh,
specific
so
additional
at current, you could
work
technically
done
have anybody
on
use it,
how the mayoral
but
mount
that's not the
exists. So
intent. Okay.
part of that is like its death state, so we didn't want it to die during this because the death animation isn't respective of the fly versus ground state for the locomotion of the dragon. That would have looked weird, so we kind of made sure people wouldn't attack and kill the dragon for this demonstration because we're still working on that. And in addition, rights to mount the dragon have to be predicated on alignment or title, which is still outstanding work.
And just because I know that some people who have bought packs might have a question about this, as a mayor, will I be able to swap out the cosmetics for the gliding mount or flying mount look
Yeah,
of my?
yeah. The cosmetic overrides might not be available at the start of Alpha 2. We're going to see about that. However, the intended experience going forward beyond the entrance criteria of Alpha 2 is that you will be able to apply the relevant mount cosmetic to the type of mount that it can be applied to. So if you have Royal Mount cosmetics, you can apply them to Royal Mount types in game.
Yeah, and obviously the Drake of the Canopy is a cosmetic, so it will not be the default. It's just what we're using right now
Yes.
to set the preface for that.
It was
Oh, okay,
cool, so
cool.
I wanted to use it was you're in
I'm
little
glad you think it's cool.
forest,
I
you
got to design that one, so for
It's
me, I
very
was like, it's
pretty.
cool being able to see it in the game.
Yes, I
But
saw some people were calling it the Canadian dragon mount
yeah,
because
because
of
it's
the
supposed to look
leaves.
like the whole point of it was it's supposed to look like a leaf kind of coming down,
I feel
which
like in that situation we should have had like syrup dripping off of the wings or something if we wanted
Okay,
to be
all
very
right.
Canadian, but
I
Okay.
when
wasn't
it
going for the
roared, it should have
Canadian
just
vibe,
said
but
a boot.
He's trying to make
oh
me hungry.
no. Moving on from there, we have, can all nodes go to war, or is this limited to vassals?
All nodes of stage 3 or higher can declare war or be declared upon. However, the jury is still out from a design perspective on whether or not nodes within a vassal structure can declare war against other vassals. They surely cannot do it against their parent, but there is some discussion about whether or not nodes can have wars potentially with each other or certain types of war scrolls against other vassals. Um, that
I don't know if I
probably is
want
not
that.
going to be the case. It'll probably be the case that wars can only be declared against other vassal structures.
I was gonna say
And could
it makes a
you
bit more
declare
sense for them
war
to
on
be
a
like
node that's
pseudo
really far
factions.
away from you,
Oh
or
yeah,
does it have to? Because okay,
But
yeah.
ultimately,
No
maybe
proximity
it's
requirements.
necessary.
cool. And then the next one here is
You get rid of like bad vassals.
wait, I think we already answered the
But
mayoral
I don't
mode
know.
one. And then why are some enemies' health plates shown completely, and why are others shown in quarters? I know that I don't know if we've answered this before, but we definitely were answering this in voice chat and in text chat. So I just wanted to clarify for people who are watching this stream so they have an
Yeah,
understanding.
yeah. So enemy nameplates are shown in quarters. And the reason for that is, as we've discussed in the past, that there is an element of decision making that happens differently in PvP when you do not have direct insight into the exact percentage of your enemy target. This provides a bit of fog of war and non-specific calculation to the types of rotation and abilities that you're going to use. That obfuscation, in my opinion, is more compelling. Now, why can you see
Okay,
other
so we don't
nameplates
actually
with
get to
full
see
health?
their
That's
health
because
pool.
those are your allies.
We're seeing
Those
a
Or
people are,
representation of their health
or
pool.
their NPCs.
I
Right.
figured
So
that's
their
what was
allies are
happening. That's
NPCs.
what it
So you
seemed
will
like.
see NPC exact hit points because prescribed rotations is I don't feel anything unique in a PvE setting. And then obviously if you're in a raid, if you're in a guild, if you're a fellow citizen, if you're in a party, you can see their hit point exact values as well. And then additionally, you may have seen from the different
My
perspectives,
cat just opened
each
my
of us
door.
as a player
I had to get
have
up for a second.
different
Sorry.
settings that we're comfortable with regards to nameplates. There's a lot of customization options that are available for nameplate settings that players have the ability to kind of curate for their own experience.
All right, and with that, we're going to wrap up our Node Wars preview section and
That
move
was a
on.
lot of questions.
I know, and move on to some more stuff. But before we do so, I do want to note that there is a thread up over on our forums. We would love for your feedback on Node Wars, on this Node Wars preview. So if you do have thoughts, please send them over to us. Are there any specific questions you want to ask people as they're thinking about their feedback and they're posting feedback for us over on the forums?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the interaction of the node event was the central focus of this particular live stream. What we're wanting to collect feedback on is where's the balance between kind of PvE objectives and PvP objectives? What is the kind of expectation from a mass battle perspective and like small group teams kind of achieving smaller group objectives. What is the frequency of these events that you want to see, and how much of an impact do you want these events to have on the overall war? What are some of the types of interactions between nodes that you want to see in these war types, these different types of war rewards that you think might be cool, some of the event rewards that we talked about, incentivizing players, the incursion of territory, the stealing of relics that we talked a little bit about. This is obviously a very big system. It has a lot of connective tissue across other systems as well. And so because of that, any kind of commentary that you guys have from the player's perspective and other games that you've played, which have had either similar features or unique features that you think could be applied, feel free to give us that feedback. Talk to us a little bit about it. And what did you like about today's presentation? What do you think could have been done better? Keeping in mind, of course, that visual effects, UI, the performance, those are three main categories of areas that we are continuing to work on. So when you see anybody either in Twitch chat, on YouTube, in Discord, on Twitter, wherever you see conversation about what we've showed today, and people say, the visual effects look, like soup, or the UI needs work, or whatever, you can feel confident saying Intrepid has addressed that. That is something they are working on. We expect to see updates on that in the future.
I honestly think it
Let's
looks
talk
okay.
about these things.
It
In the
still sometimes
presentation. What
flashbangs the
did you
shit
think
out of you,
about these things, right?
but I think it's within
Yeah,
an
sounds
acceptable
perfect.
amount,
With that, we will move on to
in my opinion,
studio
anyways.
updates. So let's pull back to the bigger macro of Intrepid Studios. How are things going? How are you feeling things are going towards Alpha 2? Because I feel like that is really the question that players have. We have announced that we will be launching Alpha 2 in Q3. That is where we're, well, at least where we're planning. If that changes, we will let you guys know. But that is currently still where we're planning to
Please, no
launch
delays.
Alpha
Yeah,
2.
I think that, like, from a studio, like, 10,000-foot picture, progress towards Alpha 2. I'm still confident that we're going to hit our third quarter date. I
Good.
believe that that what I'm looking for our team to continue focusing on going into milestone 10 and completing milestone 9 is buttoning up the last remaining feature work, which is relatively minimal at this point. Polish up some of the gameplay systems, some of the visual effects, some of the UI that we talked about, making a big hit on performance, both network and client performance, and then addressing Golden Path and economy work. Those are kind of like, okay, we've set the stage, features are in a good spot for where we expect to enter into Alpha 2. We're representing all the core gameplay systems that we're looking to collect feedback initially from Alpha 2's entrance. And then we have a plan to kind of trickle out additional updates post Alpha 2 entrance. But we need to get the Golden Path down. We need to get the econ side of things down, both from an artisanship, available drop lists, reward tables, and material components. Like all of those things, econ is working on heavily right now, and will continue to work heavily on. And then, of course, the VFX pass, the UI, and the
Can you
performance,
talk?
and all the bug fixing.
Sorry, I don't
Yep.
want to interrupt. I was
No
trying to
worries.
find a space when you weren't talking. I don't
I
want to
know.
interrupt you.
It's all good.
Can you talk a little bit about more what the Golden Path is? Because I know what that is,
Sure.
but I don't think
Yeah.
the audience is aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Golden Path is different for every game, right? Like, you have a much stronger railroaded Golden Path when you talk about theme park games. That's like, hey, the player starts out at level 1, and By the time they're level 2,
Oh,
they should
sorry.
have done this. By the time they're level
Having
4,
to
they
get up
should
a
have
lot.
done this. By the time they're level 6, they should be here, right? We have a little bit of a more difficult approach to the golden path because our game is not as prescribed. It is intended to be more sandboxy. And because of that, the golden path can really take a lot of different directions, and we need to
Yeah, it's not
provide
always
those
linear.
options.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's not, you can come back and do something at a totally different time. You could just straight 90-degree bolt over towards the Sand Squall Desert or something, right? Like those are kind of the complications that we have when defining a golden path. But essentially what a golden path is like, by the time a player reaches a certain level, they should have acquired their first mount. They should have completed their first mastery of profession. They should have done these things that have introduced them in a shallow way to a lot of the core gameplay systems. And narratively, they should have kind of gotten a sense for the world, where they are, who they are, why they are, right? And now be an awareness of, these major iconic landmarks and points of interest, know where you're, all of that stuff goes into creating identity for the game and familiarity for the player. And that's essentially what a golden path is.
People want you to rename it to a golden tree instead.
A golden, on fire, lava ridden tree.
Golden.
But terminology aside, hopefully that answers the question for you guys. I think everything else was pretty straightforward. Do you want to talk a little bit about our hiring and where we are with that
Yeah,
as well?
we have been on fire with regards to hiring. We have
In
brought
a
on
good way.
board some significant number of people who are talented, best-in-class developers who are MMO-centric players that are excited about the product we're producing and can't wait to play it themselves. That's always the best that you can hope for when building a team that is trying to deliver on a promise like Ashes. And so I couldn't be any more ecstatic with that. I know that we've had a lot of applications. We've had a lot of interviews for the team. That can be a bit disruptive to kind of the workflow that we need to have, but I think the team has managed it well. Cameron's done a phenomenal job from a recruiting standpoint with regards to our HR team. So yeah, things are going great on
And if
that
you
front.
haven't heard back from us, just give us some grace. We've got one awesome recruiter trying to respond to hundreds of applications. So give us some time, but we will get back to you whether you are moving forward with us or not. You will get a response. So just hang tight. And then with that, I'm going to move us on to our Q&A from the forums. And as usual, I will provide some visuals from our Node War preview. So the first one here is from Netromos, who wants to know about war logistics. To what extent will logistics and supply lines be integrated into Node Wars?
Yeah, so there has been some discussion around certain event types requiring those types of supplies within certain time frames, right? So kind of kind of acquiring material resources, transporting those material resources to specific locations, being stage components of event types. So in that sense, we do want to simulate these ideas of logistics and supply lines, but that's delegated to specific war event types.
Right. And then Frosty Thundertrad wants to know about avoiding war. Can a mayor voluntarily derank their node to avoid war?
No, they cannot.
And then Dembski
No,
wants to
yeah,
know about node war instancing. Are node wars or any part of
glad
node
that's not a
wars
thing.
instance, or will they entirely take place in the open world so that alliances can influence the war?
We have talked in the past about certain objectives being instanced in order to control the participation number. So, like, for example, if you're in the middle of a war and there's a cave off to the side that holds a special fountain with water that you need to like magically
GG.
imbue the primary objective for the war victory, only 8 people can enter, right? And so you
You have to
pick your
pick your
best 8.
champions.
Exactly. Pick your champion. So, like, that could be potentially some type of feature component that
I
we
actually really
incorporate
want.
as part of war
I've
events
actually
in the
designed a
future.
class like that.
So it could be right now the predominance of war events and war activities will be
In a
delegated to
design
Node
doc.
War.
I would love something like
And
that,
then
honestly.
Top Wombat. I don't know how he was selected as the Top Wombat, but they are. Vassal. They want to know about vassal wars. Can you please explain the reason why nodes cannot
Yeah.
declare war on their parent or vassal nodes?
They've lost that battle already. The reason that they're a vassal is because they were outranked by their parent. And
That's
the
right.
yeah, the clutches of vassalship are strong, and any insubordination or uprising is killed in its roots. So if you want like a lore reason, like that's the reason why. If you want from a game design perspective reason, like vassal structures are intended to be supportive. It's not really meant to be a depressing event. You're not supposed to, oh shit, we're vassaled. I'm not going to level up. This is trash. I want to go to a different node. No, when you get vassaled, like you are getting benefits from your parent node. You are now a part of a structure that can assist others and yourself as a result of that relationship. If you don't want to be vassaled, then you have an option to leave that node and become a citizen elsewhere, and that's a
Yeah.
choice that you can make. Now,
And then
with
a
that being
vassal node
said,
could
I
die
did
out.
allude to earlier us considering some war scroll types that might provide vassals the opportunity
I'm
to
starting to
declare
notice
a war
rewatching.
against
There's a
other
couple of
vassals.
moments where like
Whether or
things
not that's going to
teleport
be
around a
something
little
at the
bit.
launch of the game is a
I still
different
think this looks
question.
better
That
than it
sounds
did
to me like
previously,
it could
but
be an interesting expansion kind of update
I'm
where,
seeing a bit of the
certain
performance issues
structures
now.
get a little bit kind of complacent and boring, and hey, let's shake it up a little bit and have some rivalry within the vassalship. That sounds kind of cool, but I don't think it's going to be a part of the initial launch of the game.
All right. So definitely keep that in mind. Leonardo wants to know about large-scale wars. Will node wars between two metropolis nodes mostly manifest in the bordering vassal node network, or will there be systems that incentivize players to invade farther into the heart of an opposing metro vassal network?
Yeah, I don't think that these events are delegated just to the fringe. I think that there are event types which might have an objective to steal a relic from the heart of a vassal territory, right? Like,
Ooh.
a deep dive into a territory. I think that, Chris and some of the ideas that the systems team have come up with regards to these war types and these event types, absolutely could utilize some really deep dive into territory. I think that's cool.
Right. And then Falketh wants to know about War Scoreboard. We didn't show this on the screen. For some reason, it didn't pop up for you, but we do have one. Will there be a scoreboard detailing the most active participants' achievements during the node
Yes.
war? Things like
Hey,
players' KDA, damage, healing,
that's actually
dub,
something I'm
objectives,
excited about.
etc.
Absolutely. You'll be able to see yours, and you will be able to see if, I believe it's if people choose to share. We might have added that addition to it, but you'll be able to see yours for sure, and you may be able to see others if they opt in.
Yeah, like
And
it
and
pops
as the
up when the
mayor,
event is over and it kind of shows you your scores.
yes, yeah. But
We do
the
have it
question
actually in
is,
game right now. I just don't know why Stevens didn't pop up.
I thought I did take a look at that.
Or
I
maybe
thought
it
I
did,
thought
and I
after we
just
killed the
blinked.
I
after
don't
we
remember seeing it.
initially murdered you guys at the gates of Miraleth, I think I opened that up. But
Okay.
Yeah, I made
that
a
will be
comment
expanded
about
upon in
that.
the
I was
future.
like,
It's kind of bare bones right
they're
now. It just
effectively doing
reflects
what's called
war score for
skirmishing,
the war.
Gotcha. And then Draco
which
6 wants
is
to know about war
oftentimes a
objectives. How
bad
many
thing to do
objectives
in
must be
a
completed in
PvP game
order
like
to
this.
win
But
a node war? And
they're trying to
will they
showcase
all be
large
PvP
scale,
style objectives, or will
so it makes
PvP
sense.
players have a chance to shine?
But in actuality,
Yeah,
you
I
won't
think that
probably see
there
fights
will
play out
be,
like that
so
as
again,
often
depending on the war scroll
amongst really
type,
organized groups, anyways.
there will be unique objectives, some of which intersect with non-PvP style um, uh, uh, um, achievements, right?
Like PVX, yeah.
So, yeah, well, I mean, I just mean, yeah, PvX or PvP, right? There
Hmm.
might be purely PvE objectives that could be a part of acquiring points for the overall war.
It kind of depends
And
on what your mayor chooses to select, right? As like the options, yeah.
absolutely. The war scroll type is instrumental in the purview of that particular engagement. And
And
so
how
again,
many?
you
We'd
saw,
be here all day if we list them all out.
I know, and again, just to be clear, like the purpose of these demonstrations isn't to fully lift the skirt up and show everything we have, right? It's
Whoa,
like
Steven.
Well, excuse me. Let me phrase that. Fully lift the genes up, and no, I'm just kidding. But the idea is to get your guys' feedback before we further flesh these out and further develop the additional war types and the additional event types and everything that goes into making this type of a system compelling. Now's your opportunity to take a look at what we've done at a base level, at an alpha level, and say, yeah, I really like your goals and ideas about this, and this. And that validates for us this direction is accurate. And now we are going to continue to develop in that direction. Again, it feels maybe a bit foreign to have this approach from a development perspective. But the best way, in my opinion, to ensure that what we come out with on launch day is what players want is to take this course of development. And so, with that being said, don't look at the presentation and say, this is going to be every war, this is going to be every event. Take a look at it and say, okay, I've now heard him talk about where they're going with this. That all sounds
No,
great.
there's no way
Or
that
I would like it to change
like
in this way.
there's going to be
Provide that
points in
feedback,
time where
and then
skirmishing
Margaret and
happens,
her team put
but it's not going to
together
be an
that in a
entire fucking
nice,
event like
beautiful,
this.
buttoned-up
Even what they
package
showed
and
us,
takes it straight to the
while it's not
developers.
strictly
And then the developers
scripted,
get to use everything you guys have said and that their team has highlighted and say,
I mean, it
you
is
know what, that
scripted,
is
but
a
you know
good
my point.
freaking
It's
idea.
like
Let's
there's a
talk
bit of
about that a little bit.
malleability
Or
there, right?
no, that doesn't fit because of this,
English.
this, or this, and we punt that idea. Like that's generally the interaction.
Yeah, and you will see some of your feedback being put into action as you play through Node Wars in Alpha 2. Well,
And,
once we compile this and send it over, they're still gonna be making changes to the system before you see it again.
And just to be clear, like several years ago, I mandated at the company that we record all of our meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing that I think is going to be real
The
fun
docuseries
is
someday.
yes, after we launch the game and people are playing and whatnot, we can go back and do like in-depth docuseries on how did this particular feature come to life, and you can hear Margaret and her team talking about, well, this player, and she'll say the name,
I'm
said
not as
this,
excited about
and
stuff
then
like that,
Roshan
but
will
that's
say
still
this
neat.
player
That's still
said
cool.
this, and you'll hear the dev team come back and say what they think about that, right? And I just think that's such a unique
There's definitely a
interaction
lot of people that are into that
that
kind of thing. I don't know
doesn't
if it's
exist
necessarily the
across
gamers
the
that want to play the
majority
game that are
of
though,
teams, and it's a shame
as much
because
anyways.
it is such a strong interaction to have.
I have mentioned this before that maybe not on the live stream, but that it has been amazing working for a company that really respects community. I've been in community management for a really long time, giving feedback to developers, and often sometimes
And
you're
she
at
probably
companies where
is
they
like,
don't appreciate that as much, or they're like,
yeah.
okay, cool, whatever. Or you look at who watched and looked at the reports, and you can tell that no one read them, or no one comes to the meetings to hear the feedback. So I think that for us, it's been pretty awesome having those people be really engaged and reading our reports and actually taking action and making changes based on things that we send. The next question here is from Neurotoxin, and they want to know about war occurrences. How often do you suspect node wars will occur between nodes across the server?
The node wars, how often do I expect them to occur?
Mm-hmm.
Like for Alpha 2's purposes, probably pretty often, because the way we've delegated it to the commission system, I think affords the mayor a bit more power than what some constraints in the reputation system will provide nodes for launch. So I think in Alpha 2, we're likely going to see it a bit more prevalent than what we will see for the intended version of it come launch, because it will be governed to some degree by a reputation score, which has a lot of different influences and factors kind of keeping those values up and down.
Okay. And then this is the penultimate question, then we have one more.
Okay.
From the Hippo, they want to know about war pugging. What types of benefits will there be for people acting as mercenaries for each side of the node war? Actually, you already answered this. There won't be mercenaries, right? That is what
there are
you had said
not
before.
mercenaries. There are mercenaries that are NPC mercenaries that will be available for node sieges and castle sieges, but not in node wars.
Okay, cool. So we'll move on to Cadex's question from about
One of those
node
things that, like, while it
node
sounds cool on
diplomacy.
paper,
By what means can
mercenary
mayors conduct
guilds tend to
diplomacy
be
with other mayors? Are there any tools
a
that are available to them?
kind of a
For Alpha 2
silly
entrants,
situation
that diplomacy is going to be
where you
primarily
basically just
had
have like
within
top
chat.
guilds saying "fuck it, we don't need shit."
For the
We're just gonna go like
for,
influence people
updates during Alpha
across
2
the map,
and for launch,
and it just
obviously,
becomes kind of a
there
messy
will be a
show.
number of different powers
It's probably
and
best it doesn't
mechanisms that
exist.
include trade
It
routes,
sucks
trade
because it's really fucking
agreements,
cool.
certain cooperative
It's probably best it doesn't exist.
events, trading relics that could be had, which kind of influence and keep the relationship and reputation score between those nodes at a level where war's not even possible. So that's the long-term
We'll
goal.
share resources instead of beating you to ashes.
Absolutely. And again, just to come back to like what is the core design philosophy and tenet behind, conflict versus cooperation. Cooperation builds the world, right? And that's usually through PvE objectives. And then conflict through PvP or PvX is what changes that paradigm. And so, that's kind of a relationship where when it becomes out of balance, you're going to see the world state be unique as a result of that. And different servers are going to have different achievements and situations as a result of that interaction between the players.
All right. And with that, that concludes the questions and answers. We answered a lot of the things today. Hopefully, you feel sustained. But of course, we do want your feedback. Head on over to Ashes of Creation or forums. Tell us your thoughts.
But yeah,
on
I'll do a look at
doesn't
my
have to be
own
just this
take
live stream, but we do have a
here
thread up
once
for this
they're
live stream
done.
specifically. And we just want to preface this because I know that a lot of people are going to ask this question now that they're knowing and seeing that PI have been actively testing with us. We are currently testing with PI. That's going to be our focus right now, but we do plan to expand that to our Alpha 1 users at some point. And when we do, we will notify you all via email. So just kind of keep an eye on that and we'll make sure you're aware as we move forward.
And I would like to give a very specific shout out to PI. Because
I had that on my list next, but go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No,
you go.
I don't
You
want to
do
usurp. I don't want to
No,
usurp.
go for
Okay,
it.
all right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that testing isn't all fun and rosy, right? It can be exhausting. It can be frustrating. It can be a lot of no fun. And I think
Crashing
for the purposes crashing a lot of shit can hit the fan with regards to testing. Now we have our internal QA teams, right? And we test internally, but there's nothing quite as real as having actual players, actual gamers that are a part of the testing process. And in certain capacities, we are not yet able,
I'm
willing,
focusing
or
on the cat in the
want to
background
invite
more than it should
larger
be.
portions of the community to participate in that testing, right? That's what we're working towards. And so we must, and we have successfully, and much of this is attributed to just the quality of people who are part of the Phoenix Initiative group. Built a rapport with those players where we can rely on a relationship with them. They're going to give us unbridled feedback. They're going to be real about the feedback. They're going to be raw about their experience. And I think we went through 6 different play tests over the course of the last couple of months with PI around this particular feature or the set of features. And they stuck in there. Sometimes it was, I think one time we had like an 8-hour straight day.
Not for these. We've mostly been doing like 3-hour segments.
Okay, so
the last one was longer. It was 6 hours.
Okay, got it.
But that was our recording day.
We had a 6-hour day, right? Where they stuck through. So I just want to say to the community, bravo to the quality of community that this project, this game has attracted. I think it is a testament to what sets MMOs apart from other genres is the connectivity, the elasticity that exists within
I
these
mean, I feel like
players,
if you
right?
bought into
Those of
Phoenix
you who
Initiative,
are fundamentally interested and
you
invested
probably play
in
games
the
for longer than 8
outcome
hours
of
a
a game that you get to
day.
enjoy for hopefully years to come. And so they just hats off to
Or are
PI. They did a
willing to, more
phenomenal job.
specifically.
They stuck
Maybe that's
through
a
it,
better way to phrase that.
and they afforded us an opportunity to really iterate on the game, to improve the performance. And just want to give a big thanks to PI. We should get some hearts in chat for them. They did a
Yeah.
phenomenal job.
They were amazing, and so we definitely want to give them a shout out. And also, we have lifted the verbal NDA for them, and we also gave them approval on a few screenshots that they are welcome to share. So
Oh,
we're
neat.
letting them have the glory of sharing those and sharing their thoughts. So you can definitely reach out to those folks and ask them what their thoughts are. I saw a bunch of them already sharing their thoughts in Discord. So if you do want to pop in Discord and hear their thoughts on things, they've already been sharing a bunch of their
It'd be neat to,
experiences
kind of get that kind of
those
rapport
6
with the
spot tests
team
that they were
for
part of.
if
So
they're looking for more people
yeah.
during Alpha 2.
And with that, we also want to extend a thank you to all of you for sticking with us for this long stream. And of course, with our journey, it's been a long one.
excited for
And I think
Ashes.
that, those of you who have been
And
with
if
us
there's
for a
anything
long
I can do to
time,
help,
you've
I'm probably going to
continued to see
try.
the progress we've
Might as
made.
well.
That's the whole point of these, like Stephen had mentioned earlier, is to share that progress. We want you to see it. I know it's a lot different than what you're used to. Many games do not share this early on. So like we said, everything's work in progress. But we do want to thank you for joining us. And if it's not your bag of tea, if this is the first time you tune in, you're like, I don't want to
Yeah,
wait
I
a long
got too
time for a
much
game. We
experience in
welcome you to step
MMOs
away too for your own
to not
sanity,
share
because
it.
this is not going to be a game quite yet until we get closer to launch. And with that, we also want to thank our Zacks. We have both our wonderful performance and client side Zacks. We have Nathan, who is our producer. Thank you so much. He was phenomenal at trying to keep track of everything. It was a wild time. Me and him had some late nights together trying to make sure builds were ready to go for next days. Chris, for all of the work, and Kyle and Trad and Keenan, we super duper appreciate you all, and for all of the things that you've worked on. And then of course all the other folks that were not able to partake in the showcase, but we have a lot of developers working very hard to make Ashes of Creation come to life, and they are very much appreciated. And of course, Stephen, even here with his eye in pain.
Oh my God, you have no idea.
Everyone keeps going like, why is he wearing sunglasses? Like,
Yeah, I'm,
Chad.
so,
It looks
I'm sorry.
cool.
I have a scratch on my right
This is cool,
eye, and
Steven
right now
Sharif.
any light that I see is like incredibly painful. So I apologize for that. The sunglasses are helping.
This video will be up over on our YouTube channel. The showcase for just the Node War preview is already up. We'll be sharing that out with everybody, so you can go watch it, relive it, check it out. I'm sure the content creators are going to enjoy every moment of all of that content. And of course, we will have this full development update tomorrow, pending YouTube and Twitch want to cooperate with each other. And of course, when we upload that, if you would like to get your comments spotlighted in our next development update, make sure that you are subscribed publicly and leave a comment on the development update for May, and you may be selected for next month. And of course, we are on all of the things at Ashes of Creation. We post daily, sometimes multiple times a day. So we definitely try to share with you guys all things throughout the month for you to engage in and be part of. And sometimes it's stuff that you get to vote on and it changes in the game. Like if I for inventory or B for bag is your preference. One time we did that. So
Yeah.
definitely keep an eye
I wonder.
out on all of our
I noticed my
social
audio
channels, and
levels
join us on
are
Discord and
lagging.
forums as well. And we will see you all next month for
Fucking
another update. And we'll
Streamlabs
be
throwing a
getting
hissy
really
fit
tech
once
heavy.
again.
So prepare your brains for that. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Woo. All right, we're gonna mute for this because I actually got hit with a copyright strike claim. Not strike. Not that that matters too much, but I should probably try to avoid it best I can. All right, sorry. So quick note for those who maybe weren't here at the start, or maybe if you're skimming through the YouTube video. Yeah, the no camera. It happened to coincide with the day where I did not have my phone on hand. I lend it to the mama when she has to go to hospital appointments. and thus I did not have it on hand. And it is not one of those cases where I'm going to be like, sorry, Ma, it's mine today. It's just unfortunate the way that the hospital system works up here. She can't have well, I think my sister is capable, but my father isn't. I forget how it works. Long story short, she needs a phone to be able to call someone to pick her up. And the hospital doesn't always provide her that like support, which is really dumb. But what can you do? So no camera. That's why. Also, you might have noticed about halfway through I got a little quiet. Part of that was because realistically, at certain points there wasn't much to react to. It was just kind of more of the same. It was really cool. Nothing wrong with that. Also, I'm really fucking tired. These showcases are at about 3 p.m. my time. Which I'm normally, and before I would wake up a little bit before, but I woke up at like 1 and went to bed at like 10 a.m. So I did not sleep very long or very much. I actually said we'd do some 2077, but I think what I might do is I might end stream here. Well, I say here, I'm gonna do a little more talking. And take a nap and maybe try to stream for later in the night. Which is a likelihood that I will not wake up in time to do anything, but my bad on that. I tried. I honestly tried. But my gamer hours have failed me. Anyways, sorry. Do a little breakdown of what we saw. I think that one of the issues with this showcase, and it's something that GTA kind of brought up a little bit. It's something I mentioned in the moment, but didn't really think about it a whole lot. This was a little bit too scripted in a way that almost felt like PvPers that or people PvPing that don't necessarily PvP all the time. I know that's not the case. I'm not throwing shade at anybody that was in the test or the devs or anything like that. Nobody come at me. But it almost felt like there was like not a whole lot of planning in showing what they showed. They're like, we're just gonna like show up, explain the mechanics, do the mechanics, and really not like give it any more thought than that. Which is fine for a showcase. I don't think there's anything wrong with that particularly, but it does cheapen it a little bit when you realize that like that's not really how any of those fights are ever going to play out. Or if they do, that's both sides fucking up, right? We mentioned it. Skirmishing is not a thing that you normally are going to do a lot. I mean, obviously you get points for doing it. But as we saw, you get more points for just, well, doing the objectives. You get more points for just doing the thing. So we're going to see a lot more strategy, a lot more tactical approaches to these objectives, I think. Than what we saw here. So it almost feels like I think if you're someone who isn't like putting this much thought in as I am, you're gonna look at that and maybe not get maybe get a wrong impression. I don't know. I think that's kind of where I'm going with that. But I think regardless of that, though, it looked cool. It looks neat. I think the visual soup is getting better. I said earlier, I think it's at an acceptable level. That doesn't mean that there's any room for them to improve. But if it stayed like this for launch, it wouldn't bother me personally. Anyways. The dragon. I mean, I know they admitted it's unfinished, but just for the sake of criticism, it needs to be the cooldowns on it need to be longer. And it needs to be one of those things that you use at key moments. It should be busted overpowered. It's super powerful. But it should be like a key moment pressure thing, not a oh shit, cooldowns are off, let's go thing. Cause I don't know, you don't want to feel the pressure of like the dragon is the real opponent. It should still feel like the crowd ahead of you is the real opponent, right? It should be more of an obstacle to avoid or take out when it's available, not like something that you're ever constantly thinking about. because it has like a 15-second fucking cooldown stun or something, right? I'm throwing out a number. I don't know what the actual cooldown is. I'm trying to think of like any other like big glaring thing that I feel like needs to be mentioned for the sake of mentioning it. I don't know. I think ultimately, like personal take, I liked what they showed. I'm glad that because it's funny at the start I was like, hey, kind of reminds me a bit of like Guild Wars 2's World v World approach, but with the open world kind of agency that you would see in like Arcade. Although other games in Arcade too, but like Arcade is my big one, so that's where my brain goes. And I'm kind of there for that. I think that sounds neat to me. Hopefully the wars aren't just like these one and done objectives, and then you gotta wait some time before you can do something else. Because I think like wars being something that take time across like days to a week, could be really cool. Not to mention, providing like a pseudo faction kind of deal where like two nodes are at war, so you got like that like faction conflict thing going on. I don't know. It's peak. It is necessary. It's something that was missing from Black Desert Online. Um, and I don't know. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got. Oh, I guess I did kind of forget to address the scuffness of the early stream. My TV, something's wrong with it. It's where I put my chat in my preview. And we didn't have access to it at the start of stream. I don't know if that'll show up in the VOD. I might try to cut it if I can. Just because like I don't know, it was really scuffed, and I'm pretty certain everything came back to before for the preview, and I think it's like the bulk of why people come to watch these. So if you don't see the early scuffed, just know that we had a really shit time at the early part of stream. And oopsie daisies. I suppose that's if he does get cut for the YouTube video, one reason to watch me live. Watch me fumble and fail in the final 30 seconds of the live stream starting because I'm late. I had to get up and shower, and I had to make sure I had a coffee, and I had the coffee squared away this time. I did not the last time, but it was getting showered, which honestly I probably didn't need to shower. Thinking about it, I could have sat here and been grungy, and you guys would have been none the wiser. But I wasn't certain if I was going to get the camera back in time. I should have it in my hand right now. But it was like in the ass end of the stream, so I just said fuck it. I'll have it back and up and running for when we do 2077 later, if I wake up in time to do it later. All right, let me turn this off. Oh, whoops.